Elon, are you going to buy me Jiao Chan's limited skin or not? If you don't, we're breaking up. I stared at the message on my phone, my chest tightening. It was my landlord. Elon, the rent is 5 days late. I'll give you one more day. If I don't see the money tomorrow, don't blame me for throwing you out. Then came a message from home. I lay on my messy bed in the dim light of my rented room, feeling a suffocating weight on my chest. I couldn't even speak. After a long silence, I took the last 1,000 yuan in my account and sent it all to my mother. I tossed my phone aside and stared at the dark ceiling. Now, I scraped by as a low-level gaming booster and playmate for hire. My skills were average at best. I earned just enough to survive, but fate loved to kick me while I was down. I knew I couldn't stay in bed forever. Life goes on. I picked up my phone and opened the boosting app, scrolling through the orders. One post caught my eye immediately. Peak tournament, 1,500 to 2,400 points. 150 arcana. All heroes, almost all skins. Android server. Time limit, 1 week. Reward, 100,000 yuan. Deposit, 10,000 yuan. My heart hammered against my ribs like it wanted to escape. 100,000? I didn't even make that much in a year. If I landed this, my money problems would vanish. I licked my dry lips, greed flickering in my eyes. But then reality hit me. 2,400 points in the middle of the season was basically the rank 1 spot on the entire server. My best record was only 2,000, and that took forever to reach. Those 400 points were the difference between a talent and a god. If I failed to finish on time, I'd have to return the deposit and pay a 30% penalty. That was why the post had been sitting there for a day with no takers. Even pro players wouldn't guarantee rank 1 in a single week. I was about to close the app when a mechanical voice rang out in my head. Ding. Finding strongest Jungle King system. Successful. Host has acquired God-level awareness, God-level hand speed, and God-level reaction time. All jungle hero masteries unlocked. A massive wave of information flooded my brain. My head spun, and I nearly blacked out. When I came to, I felt different. To the old me, 2,000 points was the limit. To the current me, it was child's play. I felt stronger than a pro. I didn't hesitate. I accepted the mission. The client sent the account details and the 10,000 yuan deposit instantly. Looking at my WeChat balance, I grinned so wide my face hurt. I could eat now. I could breathe, but I had to stay focused. I needed that final payout. I sat at my desk and turned on my computer. I updated my stream title to something bold. Rank 1 in 1 week, or I quit streaming forever. I had been streaming for a month and had about a dozen loyal followers. A few people hopped in immediately. Yi, are you going crazy? Quitting forever. Did you eat poisonous mushrooms for lunch? You're hallucinating, man. Be realistic, host. I've watched you for weeks. You peak at 1,800. Don't even dream about rank 1. I didn't get angry. I just smiled. Don't panic, brothers. You'll see in a week. Fine. One viewer challenged. If you actually hit rank 1, I'll spend my entire next month's living expenses on a top-tier gift for you. I'll use my secret stash to buy you a money machine gift, another added. While I chatted with the fans, I logged into the account. The nickname was Meat Floss Cake. It sounded cute and sweet. The chat went wild the second they saw it. Wait, isn't that the wealthy influencer Lin Shuyao's account? Lin Shuyao was famous. Last year, her Yao was ranked number 1 in the country. Having a rank 1 Yao didn't mean you were a pro. It meant you were incredibly rich. I checked the hero list. When I saw the national level badge on her Yao, I took a sharp breath. No wonder she offered 100,000 yuan. To a rich girl like her, that was pocket change. To me, it was a life changer. I briefly imagined what it would be like to win over a girl like that, but I shook the thought away. Fantasies didn't pay the bills. Winning did. I didn't jump straight into a match. I spent a few minutes adjusting the settings to my preference. Every pro has their own habits, and I was no different. Once everything was perfect, I entered the peak tournament interface. The current score was 1574. It was time to start the climb. A score of 1574 in the peak tournament was average for most players, and that's exactly how Yilan saw it. Even without the system I'd just activated, I could have dominated this rank. With the system, it was going to be a walk in the park. I clicked the matchmaking button. Mid-season tournaments were always packed, and it didn't take long for the system to find a match. As soon as we entered the lobby, a voice that sounded like a shoe stuck in a throat blasted through my phone speakers. National level she sure, Ling Air, requesting to play. I winced and let out a bitter laugh. That voice was unmistakable. Ling Air was one of those rare high-ranking female streamers. Besides her skill with the hero she sure, she was famous for her voice. It sounded like a needle scratching against glass. It was piercing and harsh, but for some reason, her fans loved it. Personally, I couldn't stand it. Ling Air, I'm your biggest fan. Player 2 shouted immediately. I have 3 houses in Shanghai. Can I marry you? I checked Ling Air's stream on my other device. She curled her lip in disgust. Stop bragging. You don't even have a top-tier badge. Go back to sleep. We just met, and you're already telling me to go to bed? Player 2 joked. That's moving a bit fast, isn't it? Ling Air's chat exploded with laughter, but I wasn't paying attention to the drama. I watched as the bans went through. The usual annoying supports were taken off the board. Give me she sure, Ling Air demanded. My national rank she sure is a guaranteed win. Player 1 locked it in for her. At 1,500 points, a national level she sure was a powerhouse. I was player 3, and I wasn't in a rush. With my new system, every jungler I touched was at a national level. I wanted to see the enemy lineup first. The enemy mid laner picked Shinmingshi, the bomb cat. That meant we lost mid lane priority. I expected them to pick an aggressive invading jungler, but then the enemy player 2 locked in Luna. I blinked. They picked Shinmingshi just to protect their own jungle while Luna scaled. That opened up a lot of options for me. I didn't go for the meta picks like Jing or Lan. Instead, I locked in by Li Xiansu. In high-rank games, Xiansu could be hard to pull off, but at 1500, this was basically smuffing in a fish pond. Xiansu was the king of snowballing games like this. The second I locked him in, my chat flooded with question marks. Bro, do you even know how to play him? I've watched you for a month and never seen you touch Xiansu. Are you trying to troll Ling Air? I couldn't blame them. I'd never played him on stream before. Hey, I'm a national-level jungle king, I said, my voice full of confidence. There isn't a hero I can't play. Keep dreaming, a viewer shot back. You're only level 80. Real jungle kings are level 100 plus. Did the pressure get to your head? I ignored them. Before today, I had to be humble just to survive. Now that I had the system, there was no reason to stay quiet. I looked at the skins on Lin Shuyao's account. She had everything. I scrolled through and picked the white tiger skin for Xiansu. It was easily his best, clean effects and a perfect feel. The teams were set. On our side, Ma Chao in the top lane, me on Xiansu, Ling Air on Shi Shi, and a Lu Ban combo in the bot lane. The enemy had Quang Tai, Luna, Shinmingshi, Sun Shangxiang, and Zhuangzhou. As the loading screen popped up, Ling Air saw my green bean mastery badge, the lowest level possible. Xiansu, are you a spy for the other team? She screeched. I'm playing my main, and you pick a hero you've never used? Are you looking down on me? I rubbed my temples. Her voice was giving me a headache. Can you talk less? My head hurts. I'm a booster, and this is my client's account. It's a fresh hero, of course it's a green badge. Ling Air's face turned red with anger. Her fans started attacking me in her chat, calling me a country bumpkin who didn't appreciate her voice. I didn't care. As soon as the match started, I muted the team voice chat. Silence at last. Welcome to Honor of Kings, the game announced. I pinged the enemy's red buff, signaling for a level 1 invade. I'm not helping you invade unless you apologize, Ling Air muttered on her stream, still fuming. Ling Air, I think the jungler muted us, Ma Chao pointed out. Ling Air didn't give up. She typed into the game chat, Jungler, apologize now. If you do, I'll help you invade. I watched the message pop up as I used my first skill to leap over the dragon pit wall. I crouched in the brush near the enemy red buff, a cold smile tugging at my lips. I didn't need her help. I didn't need anyone's help. I didn't even hesitate. I typed back a simple response. Come if you want. Don't if you don't. In the past, I never would have dared to speak to a popular streamer like Ling Air that way. But now, with the system backing me up, I felt fearless. I wasn't being arrogant. I was being tactical. The enemy mid laner and support didn't have any hard crowd control to lock me down. Even if they caught me in their red zone, I knew I could get out alive. Ling'er was livid. Her face turned a deep shade of crimson as she stared at my reply. Fine. Good. When you're surrounded and dying, don't you dare beg me for help. She snapped, deciding then and there to ignore me entirely. She didn't care if we lost. To a professional streamer, a 1,500-point rank match was nothing. She could make up the points in 2 games. But my other teammates didn't feel that way. They were ordinary players. To them, every single point was precious. My support, Bandmaster, immediately decided to help me. He planned to clear the mid-wave quickly and then rushed to the jungle to back me up. The clock ticked down. The minions clashed in the lane, and the massive jungle monsters crawled out from the earth. I moved. I tapped Xiance's first skill, lunging forward with my chain. Crack! My whip lashed across the red buff's back. I began to kite the monster, slowly dragging it toward the nearby brush to hide my progress. By then, the enemy Shun Mengshi had already cleared his wave. He was rotating toward the red side, with Zhuang Zhou right behind him. Bandmaster panicked and pinged the map frantically. Jungler, run. Their mid and support are coming for you. I acted like I didn't hear him. I kept my rhythm, my hook rising and falling, relentlessly draining the monster's health. Is he brain dead? Bandmaster muttered, but he didn't abandon me. He sprinted toward the enemy jungle to assist. Ling'er tried to stop him. Why are you bothering with him? Let him die? He brought this on himself. Bandmaster didn't bother explaining. He kept his eyes on the map and kept running. Seeing yet another person ignore her, Ling'er's temper flared again. Fine. Go die together then. She cursed under her breath and steered her hero, Shi, toward the bottom lane instead. Deep in the enemy red zone, Shun Mingshi stepped out of the river. He saw the red buff pit was empty. He realized instantly what was happening. Luna. Xiansu is stealing your red. He's got the jungle protection penalty, so he won't be fast. Try to defend it. Even if you can't save it, drop his health as low as possible. Luna was all the way over at the blue buff. She couldn't make it in time. I trust you, she replied. Just drive him away. Don't worry, Shin Mingshi bragged. I'll throw a few bombs. I guarantee he'll run so fast his clothes will catch fire. He knew I had to be in the brush. He tapped his first skill, tossing a cat bomb directly into the tall grass. Inside the bush, a cold smile spread across my face. He fell for it. I used my first skill to dash. It was a short distance, but it was enough to dodge the explosion. The bomb didn't hit me. It landed right on the red buff. I had a damage penalty because I was invading, but Shin Mingshi didn't. His bomb shredded the monster's remaining health. The enemy Zhuang Zhou stood there, stunned. Bro, are you a spy for the other team? With Shin Mingshi's help, I landed 2 quick basic attacks and smashed the smite button. A bolt of red lightning struck down. The red buff dissolved into a glow and flowed into my body. Coming for me, with just 2 people? I whispered, you have a death wish. I swung my hook, a blue arc of lightning trailing behind it. With the speed boost from my second skill, I danced around Zhuang Zhou and launched my chain. It landed perfectly, wrapping around Shin Mingshi's neck. I followed up with a heavy strike, the red buff's slowing effect sticking to him instantly. Shin Mingshi panicked and activated his second skill, trying to sprint away. But with the system's help, my reactions were frame perfect. The moment he tried to dash, I used my first skill to lunge forward. The collision canceled his movement, and he stayed pinned right where he was. Bandmaster arrived just in time. Before Shin Mingshi could use flash, the support leaped into the air and slammed down on his head. Shin Mingshi was knocked skyward. I didn't waste a second, lashing him repeatedly with my whip. As soon as the knock-up ended, I flipped him over my shoulder, tossing him even further away from safety. Desperate, Shin Mingshi burned his flash, but the red buff slow was too heavy. He was like a bird with clipped wings. A second later, I was back in range. My hook tore through his health with the force of a thunderstorm. Seeing the situation was hopeless, Zhuang Zhou turned tail and fled. He knew if he stayed, he was next. Sometimes, you have to sell your teammate to survive. First blood. The announcement echoed across the map. I took the kill. Are you kidding me? The enemy Luna screamed in chat. I told you to defend the jungle. not gift him a kill. Usually, losing one buff wouldn't ruin a Luna player's day, but giving the enemy jungler an early kill was a disaster. My momentum was already skyrocketing. Sorry, my bad, Shin Mengshi replied, sounding defeated. I got outplayed. He timed my bombs. Whatever, Luna sighed. Just roam more. Give me the mid lane farm. Their team doesn't have any target lock skills, so if I play well, I can still carry. Back on our side, Ling Er's teeth were practically grinding together. What is wrong with that Shin Mengshi? It's a 2-on-2. How do you lose that? He's so bad he should go home and raise pigs. I didn't care about her yelling. I had just finished off the mid laner, and now a fresh wave of minions was meeting in the center of the map. I was 18 years old. How could I resist such a temptation? I swung my hook, clearing the lane and taking all the gold for myself. Ling Er was walking back from the bottom lane when she saw my icon sitting in her lane. She panned her camera over and gasped. Jinsu, you animal, get away from my minions. Leave them for me. Her voice was high and whiny, making our top laner, Ma Chao, feel protective. Hey man, how can you eat Ling Er's farm like that? Ling Er immediately changed her tone to sound sweet. Ma Chao, you're the only nice one here. At least wait for me to get there before you share the gold. I ignored them both. I had a game to win. Neither of these players was a saint, but I didn't care. I honestly couldn't help myself. Yilan, cleared that entire mid lane wave until it was spotless. Sorry about that, I finally said, though I didn't sound very sorry. But don't take it to heart, Ling Er. I'm the carry jungler. You're the utility mid. It's only right that I take the gold. Ling Er knew how the professional meta worked. She knew utility mages were supposed to sacrifice for the team. But doing it on the second wave of the game? That was unheard of. She was so angry she started using the voice-to-text feature to spam the chat. You could at least wait until I'm level 4, she typed. If you do this, I'll fall behind Shin Mengshi in levels and gold. She sounded like she was about to cry. Ling Er was a big deal in the Honor of Kings community. Everyone knew her. Even top-tier junglers like Han Han and Bei Mu treated her with respect. None of them would have dared to hijack her second wave like this. But as soon as she finished typing, she saw something else. The enemy Luna appeared in the mid lane with a fresh blue buff. Without a single word of hesitation, Luna unleashed a crescent wave and cleared her own mid lane minions in seconds. Zhuang Zhou, her support, stood right next to her, while Shin Mengshi was likely still walking back from the fountain after I killed him. Well, I remarked coolly. It looks like you're actually ahead of Shin Mengshi now. Ling Er's character, she sure, just stood there frozen. It was true. Shin Mengshi had died once and burned his flash. Since Luna had just eaten his farm while he was dead, neither mid laner had received that second wave of gold. Technically, she was winning. But something felt wrong. Since when were junglers this aggressive? First me, then the enemy Luna. If junglers kept playing like this, what was the point of being a mid laner? If you keep taking my farm, I might as well just buy a support item and follow you around. Ling Er snapped, her voice dripping with frustration. She had played mid for years and had never been bullied like this. I thought about it for a second and chuckled. That's not a bad idea. If the mid and jungle roam together, we can gank much easier. Ling Er nearly coughed up blood. She was being sarcastic, and I was treating it like a strategy. She was so tilted she actually typed out a common Chinese insult, CNMD. In her live stream, her fans lost their minds. Find out who this Shinsu is. How dare he talk to Ling Er like that? Does he want to die? But my next response left the entire chat speechless. If you want to eat a lemon, go buy one, I said calmly. I'm not ordering you delivery. Ling Er was confused. She spammed a string of question marks. I replied with total sincerity. Doesn't CNMD stand for Kai and I Mei Dan, eat a lemon? Ling Er felt like she was going to have a stroke. My ability to misinterpret a blatant insult was legendary. I just smiled to myself. As a veteran of the internet, I knew exactly what those 4 letters meant. But if you refuse to acknowledge the insult, it loses all its power. Ling Er was on the verge of a total breakdown, so I decided to stop poking the fire for a moment. I dove back into my red buff zone. I cleared the buff, snatched the small monsters, and then rotated to clear my blue side. By the time I was finished, my Xiansu was level 5. I had already finished my jungle blade and my attack speed boots. In the early game, Xiance's damage is respectable. The boots synchronized perfectly with my second skill's passive, but more importantly, they allowed me to kite. Xiansu is one of the squishiest junglers in the game. One stray area of effect spell can end you. To play him well, you need perfect timing and movement. With the extra movement speed from my boots and my skills, I was confident no one could touch me. I finished my red buff and immediately headed toward the top lane. Our Ma Chao was struggling. He was being bullied under his tower by the enemy Quang Tai, who was playing extremely aggressively. If I didn't help him now, the lane would be lost. But before I even reached the top, the map exploded. Icons for Luna and Shun Mengshi appeared in the top lane. Along with the enemy Quang Tai and our Ma Chao, it was a full house. Quang Tai didn't wait. With full energy, he used his dash flash combo to dive straight into our tower. He knocked Ma Chao into the air and popped his ultimate to soak up the tower shots. With him tanking, Luna and Shun Mengshi unleashed everything they had. Ma Chao died before he could even activate his sprint or his ultimate. Are you kidding me? Ma Chao yelled into his mic. When I play marksman, 4 people dive me. Now I play top lane and 3 people dive me. It's not the role. I'm just cursed. I understood his pain, but I stayed focused. Don't worry, I said. Your father is here, even if I'm a little late. Ma Chao groaned. There are 3 of them. Be careful. Quang Tai is low and has no flash or ultimate. Just kill him and run. He didn't expect me to win a 1-on-3. He just wanted a revenge kill so he wouldn't fall too far behind in lane. But I didn't travel all the way up here just for 1 kill. If I was going to show up, I was taking everyone. I started spinning my hook, the chain whistling in the air as I closed the gap on the retreating Quang Tai. He had nothing left, no dash, no shield, no flash. He tried to use his first skill to hit me and heal, but I saw it coming. I took a simple step back, watched his mace swing through empty air, and launched my hook. It hit him dead center. I flipped him back into the tower's range and finished him with a single basic attack. Nice. Just clear the wave and go, Ma Chao said, sounding relieved. This was worth it. I didn't answer. My action spoke for me. Upon killing Quang Tai, my passive triggered, giving me a 30% movement speed boost. My chain began to spin again, faster than lightning, as I lunged towards Shun Mengshi. He had used most of his skills to kill Ma Chao. He only had his second skill left. My hook was already in the air. The pressure from my hook was far worse than facing a Zhong Kuei. If Zhong Kuei hooks you, you might survive. If my Bai Li Xianse hooked you, you were dead. Shun Mengshi knew this. I saw his finger hovering over his second skill, waiting for me to make a move. He was ready to dash the second I threw the chain. I launched the hook. But I didn't aim for him. I aimed for Luna. Shun Mengshi panicked. He didn't stop to think. He just saw the movement and burned his dash immediately. He fell right into my trap. Luna never expected the feint. She thought I was chasing the mage, but she was my real target all along. Without a minion wave to dash through, she was a sitting duck. My hook latched onto her. In an instant, I transformed into a streak of lightning. I used my ultimate to flicker behind her, adjusted my positioning with my first skill, and used the second stage of my hook to fling her back toward Shun Mengshi. I landed a basic attack, applying the red buff slow to both of them. I was a monster at this point. I had 2 kills, a mid lane wave, 3 buffs, and half the jungle in my pockets. My gold lead was overwhelming. They had used everything to kill Ma Chao, and now they had nothing left to stop me. I cut them down with ease. Triple kill. The announcer's voice echoed through the canyon, sharp and triumphant. Lingair stared at her screen, her eyes flickering with a hint of panic. I had a triple kill. She didn't know how to react. When I had invaded the jungle earlier, she stayed back on purpose. She wanted to see me fail so she could swoop in, save the day, and feed her own ego. But I didn't need her help. I had wiped them out alone. The script wasn't going her way, and she wasn't happy about it. She stood there in the river, lost in thought, probably plotting ways to make me mess up. She was so distracted that she didn't even notice Shun Mengshi and Luna returning to the lane. The enemies hesitated at first, wondering if her standing still was a trap. But after a few bombs from Shun Mengshi landed, and she didn't move, they realized she was effectively AFK. Luna flew in, executed a flawless combo, and deleted her health bar. She sure, what are you doing? I barked into the mic. They walked right up to your face, and you just stood there? I was genuinely annoyed. Ling Air was a major streamer. She shouldn't be tilting or throwing just because I called her out. Top-tier streamers usually have thick skin. You can't survive that career if you're fragile. Even a small timer like me gets trolls in the chat telling me to quit and go work in a factory. I usually ignore them. Being a pro gamer or a streamer is a short-lived dream, like youth itself. If you don't cherish it, it vanishes before you know it. Sorry, I was just distracted, Ling Air muttered. She sounded genuinely apologetic. She wasn't the type to throw a tantrum when she knew she was in the wrong. Pay attention, I said, my voice trailing off. As punishment, this minion wave belongs to me. She watched as my Shiensu started hacking away at her gold. If you want the wave, just say so. Don't make up excuses, she snapped. I chuckled. You're dead anyway. Better me than the tower, right? She stayed silent, clearly annoyed but unable to argue with the logic. Then, bad news came from the top lane. Ma Chao had been solo killed by Quang Tai. Are you serious? I asked, confused. He had no flash. How did he kill you? Quang Tai is a lane bully, sure. He has shields, heals, and high burst. But Ma Chao is supposed to be mobile. With his ultimate and sprint active, I couldn't wrap my head around how he got caught. Ma Chao's players sounded embarrassed. Sorry, man, I got greedy for the kill, and he caught me out. I sighed. You can't play high-skill heroes with a bloodthirsty head. Fine. Your punishment is that I'm taking your top wave too. I knew it. Ma Chao groaned. That was your plan all along. Honestly, I was stressed. Managing my jungle was hard enough, but now I had to cover 2 lanes because my teammates couldn't stay alive. By the 7-minute mark, Ling Air was stunned. I was playing like a top-tier pro. I was vacuuming up every bit of gold on the map, 2 lanes of minions, and both sides of the jungle. My economy was skyrocketing. The enemy team wasn't stupid, though. They saw me busy defending top, so they grouped up as 4 to dive my bottom lane. Their Zhuang Zhou completely neutralized our Luban Master's crowd control. Meanwhile, Ling Air's earlier death had left her behind in levels. Shen Mingxi was poking her so hard she had to retreat to the base constantly. Just like that, the kill score was tied again. Man, these 1,500-point games are full of monsters, I muttered. How is this so hard? It was time to carry. While my teammates were busy getting caught, I had become a god. I had 6 full items while the enemy Luna, their best player, only had 4, including her boots. I was 2 full items ahead. Continuing to farm was pointless. I was at the ceiling. Let's end this boring game, I sighed. It really had been a boring stretch. I spent the last few minutes just running from point A to point B, killing everything in my path. I was a professional janitor who had accidentally become the strongest person on the battlefield. While everyone else was risking their lives for a single kill, I had quietly amassed a fortune just by cleaning up the map. Now, it was time to show them the difference. My gold lead was so massive that the enemy team started running the moment they saw me on the map. I didn't blame them. Farming was a zero-risk game for me now. The enemy Luna tried to mirror my movements, but she was playing a dangerous game of tag with her own life. Even though their Zhuang Zhou was a perfect counter to our crowd control, the sheer gap in raw power was becoming too much to ignore. I decided it was time to step out of the shadows. When I finally joined the team fights, the game turned into a one-sided slaughter. My Bai Li Xianzi felt like a god. I had 6 swords, and the enemy team had no tanks to soak up the damage. I carved through their formation like a hot knife through butter. 1 kill, 2 kills, 3. We marched straight up the high ground and shattered 2 of their base towers in seconds. The scales hadn't just tipped, I had broken them. Ling Air was silent. I could feel her frustration through the screen. I hadn't asked for help once. I had disappeared into the jungle for a few minutes and returned as an invincible monster. She looked lost, like she didn't even know what her role was anymore. One moment she was struggling to survive, and the next, we were standing at the enemy crystal. When it finally exploded, she just sat there, stunned. But while she was quiet, her live stream chat was losing its mind. As the settlement screen popped up, my ID was revealed. Wait, isn't that the ID for the number 1 Yao player? Someone commented. She plays jungle too? Another asked. The comments turned toxic fast. Ling Air's fans were protective. I don't care who she is, she insulted our Ling Air. Flame her. You guys are idiots, a more cynical viewer chimed in. This isn't a girl. This is clearly a heavenly carry hired by a rich sugar mommy. Only a pro-level booster plays like this. The chat started debating the life of high-level boosters. They talked about how some players made tens of thousands a month just to carry wealthy women. They weren't wrong. Many of these guys were better than pro players, but chose this life for the freedom and the money. No contracts, no coaches, just pure profit and a bit of emotional value for the client. On my side of the screen, things were much quieter. I only had a handful of viewers, mostly regulars. Where are the flowers? Where's the applause? I joked, trying to flex my victory. Give it a rest, Yilon, one regular replied. It's a 1,500-point game. It's like going to a club and finding out all the girls are tanks. We can't get excited for this. Yeah, another added. You're a 2,000-point player now. Bullying noobs to feel good? I despise you. I laughed it off. Hey, bullying noobs feels great. It's too hot outside to try hard. We traded some crude jokes for a while, the kind of banter you only have with people who have followed you since the beginning. I had a big smile on my face, showing off my teeth. I felt good. But then, a notification popped up on my phone. It was from Zheng Xueling, my girlfriend. Or rather, the girl I was still technically dating. We had met in high school, but after graduation, our paths diverged. I moved out, hid from my parents, and started streaming. She went off to a regular university. I knew the truth. Our relationship only existed because I had a few national rank badges in the game. It gave her status. She was always demanding gifts, anniversaries, holidays, or just because she was in a good mood. I knew she probably had other guys on the side, but I had stayed with her because being a lonely, struggling streamer is hard. Sometimes you just need someone to talk to. But now, I had a system. I didn't need a girl who only saw me as an ATM. I opened WeChat, typed a single word, okay, and then I blocked her. I deleted her contact without a second thought. She wanted my money, but offered nothing in return. Women like that just ruin your luck. I was ready to queue up for another game when a friend request flashed on my screen. Usually, as a booster, I don't add people. It's a rule. But the ID was Ling Air. Part of me wanted to ignore her, but we were on the same platform. A little networking couldn't hurt my career, even if I had just pissed her off. I hit the reject button, but I changed my automated rejection message first. Husha platform, room 12138. If you're a simp, come flame me in person. When Ling Air saw that message on her screen, I thought her head might actually explode. It was a direct provocation. It was like throwing a massive rock into a calm lake. Within seconds, my viewer count jumped from 12 people to over 1,000. Ling Air's fans flooded in, ready to tear me apart to defend their goddess. I sat back and watched the numbers climb, a wide grin on my face. This was going to be fun. All publicity is good publicity, after all. Why did you insult me? Ling Air's message flashed across my screen. Because of her high account level, her text was highlighted in a bright, obnoxious color that cut through the rest of the chat. I leaned back in my chair and spread my hands, even though she couldn't see me. I didn't insult you, I said calmly. I just stated my objective feelings. It's the same way you felt when you saw I had 0 proficiency on my hero and assumed I'd ruin your game. There was a long silence from her end. I saw the text in her input box vanish. She knew I was right. She had been the one to start the trash talk. But Ling Air wasn't the type to just back down. She bit her lip and typed out another aggressive question. Then why did you steal all my farm? Because if I take the gold, I can carry, I replied with a shrug. Are you saying I can't carry if I have the gold? She was clearly offended now. She was a top-tier Shishir player, usually sitting at 2,000 points in the rankings. To her, being told she couldn't handle a 1,500-point lobby was a slap in the face. The enemy support was Zhuang Zhou, I said, a mocking smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. Do you really think you could have carried? I didn't take her farm out of spite. It was a tactical decision. She sure relies on crowd control to deal damage, but Zhuang Zhou's entire kit is designed to negate control. In that draft, she was useless. Think about the game. I continued, my voice steady and firm. You were a utility mid laner against your direct counter. You couldn't even fulfill your basic role. Our bot lane was getting dove constantly, and our top laner was getting solo killed. Who else was going to win that game besides me? My logic was bulletproof. The insults in the chat started to die down as people realized I actually knew what I was talking about. Ling Air didn't apologize out loud. Her ego wouldn't allow it, but a notification popped up. She had sent me a money gun gift worth 300 yuan. After the platform's cut, I'd pocket 150. Thanks for the gift, I said, softening my tone. Don't take it to heart. We're all just trying to make a living on Husha. Let's be friends. I knew her type. The gift was her way of saying sorry without having to say the words. Accepting it meant the beef was settled. Plus, making an extra 150 yuan for a single game felt great. That was beer and barbecue money for tonight. Why do you have Lin Shuyao's account? Ling Air asked, her curiosity finally getting the better of her. Are you actually that good? I didn't answer with words. I just pulled up the post-game screenshot showing my 16.0 perfect rating. She scoffed, claiming a 1,500-point game didn't prove much, but she seemed genuinely confused. I didn't look like a famous pro, and if I were just some guy being kept by a rich girl like Lin Shuyao, why would I bother streaming? I'll give it to you straight, I told her and the thousands of people watching. Lin Shuyao posted a contract on a boosting platform. She wants the #1 spot on the ladder within a week. I took the job. I wasn't trying to hide it. By tomorrow, this would be trending on social media anyway. Ling Air went quiet for a second before exploding. A week to hit rank 1? Are you insane? Every pro and top streamer is fighting for that spot right now. You think you're better than them? She sounded like she was trying to give me a reality check, but I just nodded seriously. Actually, yeah, I think I'm a little bit better than all of them. The chat went nuclear. Is this guy for real? Does he want to die? Wei Liang, Bei Mu, Xiaopeng. These are gods, and you think you're better? I didn't care. I had a system now. I wasn't the same person I was yesterday. I ignored the hate and queued up for my next match. I was hungry, not just for wins, but for actual food. I needed to hit 1,800 points so I could go grab dinner. As I waited, the viewer count kept climbing. People were tuning in just to see me fail. Ling Air stayed too, probably wanting to see if I was all talk. The match found after a few seconds. I entered the hero select screen, and a very familiar, loud voice boomed through my headset. Brothers, it's Han Han here. Give me jungle. I'll carry, but I can't guarantee the win. I frowned. Did I stumble into a nest of streamers today? First Ling Air, now Han Han. He was supposed to be at 1,800 points. The matchmaking must have been pulling him down into my 1,600 lobby to balance the averages. My teammates lost their minds. Holy crap, is that really the second brother Han Han? I just checked his stream, it's him. Han go, play Tiger and carry us. I'm ready to get boosted. I sighed and leaned back. This was going to be a long night. My 3 teammates immediately started showering Han Han with compliments. They were sucking up to him so hard I thought they might run out of breath. Han Han was loving it, his ego inflating by the second. On her own screen, Ling Air had a small smirk on her face. I knew what she was thinking. She wanted me to see what real fame looked like. She probably wanted to type it out and rub it in my face, but she held back. I just frowned as I listened to the flattery. I had no intention of giving up the jungle position. Han Han was good, sure, but even he admitted he could carry but couldn't guarantee a win. That wasn't good enough for me. I needed to win, and I didn't need anything else. Han Han noticed I was the only one staying quiet. He saw that my most played heroes were all junglers. He cleared his throat, sounding like he was preparing a speech. Brother, don't overthink it. Just let me jungle. Pick a tank like Zhang Fei or Nyo Mo and just chill while I carry you. When I still didn't say anything, my teammates started pestering me too. Come on, man, just give it to Han Han. Haven't you heard the stories from season 18? Han Han smiled, sitting up straighter and puffing out his chest. He was clearly enjoying having other people do his bragging for him. I finally opened my mic, letting out a dry, slightly mocking laugh. Stories? You mean that story about how he's a marksman main who's definitely going to lose if he tries to jungle? Silence. Complete, deafening silence. Ling Air's stream, Han Han's stream, and our team chat all went dead at the same time. After 3 long seconds, the player in the second slot typed out a frantic correction. You misunderstood. The Season 18 story was a famous meme in the King of Glory community. Everyone knew it, whether they loved Han Han or hated him. It was legendary. Do you even know who held the top 3 spots on the leaderboard back in Season 18? Han Han asked, his voice shaking with suppressed rage. No idea, I replied casually. But I do know that when the season ended, the number 1 spot belonged to Ko Dai. I could almost hear Han Han choking on his own blood. He was grinding his teeth so hard I thought they might snap. He knew I was doing this on purpose. Ling Er was trying her best not to laugh on her stream. She should have been on Han Han's side, but my answers were just too ridiculous. Fine, Han Han snapped, finally giving up on the ego trip. Just say it. Are you giving me the position or not? He was the 5th pick, and I was the 1st. If I didn't trade, there was no way he was getting the jungle. You said you carry but don't guarantee the win, I said. So no, if you could guarantee the win, I'd let you have it. But you can't. Han Han let out a sharp, mocking laugh. Buddy, this is an 1,800-point match. Even a pro player wouldn't dare promise a guaranteed win. The game is like a coin toss. Even Zhang Lao-san, the best Jiao Chan in the universe, can lose a match in diamond rank if he gets unlucky. I didn't blink. Well, I can guarantee it. That's why I'm jungling. Without another word, I locked in Luna. The entire team lost their minds. Even Ling Er stared at her screen in disbelief. Luna was a high-skill hero, and picking her first was suicide. Bro, let's talk about this, one teammate shouted. There's no need to take your anger out on society. Exactly. Just take the jungle, but don't pick Luna first. Dong Huang and Zhang Liang aren't even banned. You're literally asking to be countered. It's over. We're losing points. This guy is a troll. They sounded hopeless, already preparing to surrender at the 6-minute mark. I told you. I'm carrying and I'm winning, I said, rolling my eyes. I don't get what you're all so worried about. To me, it was just a pick. To them, it was like the sky was falling. Fine, Han Han hissed. You said you'd carry and win. What happens if you don't? If I don't, come to my stream on the Husha platform, room 12138, and flame me all you want. I wasn't going to pass up a chance to drive traffic to my channel. Sure enough, Han Han's fans flooded in. My viewers jumped from 2,000 to 5,000 in seconds. Just like Ling Er's fans, they didn't care about the context. They just started insulting me immediately. I wasn't angry. I needed the numbers if I wanted a contract with the platform. Everyone, calm down, I told the chat. I said I'd win. If you want to talk trash, at least wait until the defeat screen pops up. The comments didn't stop. You're just bragging. They have Dong Huang and Zhang Liang. How are you going to win? Even the best Luna players in the country wouldn't blind pick her like this. You're just a delusional rookie. I ignored them. Talking was a waste of time. The result would speak for itself. Since I took the jungle, Han Han was forced into the marksman role. He grumbled but eventually picked Gong Sun Li. Our team ended up with Bai Qi, my Luna, Zhou Yu, Gong Sun Li, and Su Lai. The enemy team had Lu Bu, Pei Qin Hu in the jungle, Zhang Liang, Sun Shanxiang, and Dong Huang Tai. As the loading screen appeared, my teammates' hearts sank even further. Next to my Luna's name was a green bean proficiency icon, the lowest possible rank. Are you kidding me? One teammate groaned. A green bean Luna? We all picked our best heroes to protect your jungle, and this is how you repay us. I'm done, another muttered. We should have just run 2 junglers. Picking a starter-level Luna is just a slap in the face. Aside from me, everyone on the team had high-ranking mastery badges. I didn't bother responding. People always judged by appearances. If I answered every hater, I'd never have time to play. The situation looked grim. Not only was I a green bean, but the enemy had Dong Huang and Zhang Liang, the 2 biggest counters to Luna's mobility. Plus, the enemy Dong Huang had Smite, and their jungler was Pei Qin Hu, meaning they were going to invade my jungle and starve me out from second 1. But I wasn't afraid. I felt a surge of excitement. The harder the match, the better it would look when I won. I was going to conquer these fans, and I was going to conquer Han Han. Ling Er watched from her computer, pouting slightly. Typical guy, she whispered to her stream. He was so mean to me, but now that he's playing with Han Han, he's gone quiet. She actually thought I was intimidated by him. She had no idea. It was strange. Both Ling Er and Han Han had mocked my green bean proficiency, but the results were worlds apart. Ling Er had been driven to tears by my coldness, while Han Han remained completely unbothered. Ling Er didn't understand my focus. She probably thought I was just a bully who only picked on the weak. Soon, the loading screen vanished. We were in. "Welcome to Honor of Kings," the voice announced. 5 seconds until the enemy reaches the battlefield. All troops attack. I didn't hesitate. I controlled Luna and headed straight toward my red buff. Han Han, true to his reputation as a top 10 player, immediately started barking orders. "I recommend you just buy a support item and leech gold in the mid lane," he said. "Pei Qin Hu and Dong Huang are definitely going to invade. They'll probably hit both sides of your jungle at once. You can't defend either one. If you lose every buff early on, we might as well forfeit at 6 minutes." He wasn't wrong. His game sense was sharp. He had predicted the enemy's plan perfectly. Pei Qin, who was invading my blue side, while Dong Huang Tai was marching straight for my red. I didn't answer him. I had already reached the same conclusion. But I didn't plan on losing everything. I quietly tucked myself into the brush behind the red buff pit, waiting to see who would show their face. If it was Pei Qin Hu, I'd leave immediately. His burst damage and smite were too high. Even with my skills, I couldn't outsmite a tiger in the early game. But Dong Huang, that was a different story. He didn't have the same burst. If I could secure just one buff, I'd have a fighting chance. Then I saw him. Dong Huang's shadow passed through the vision of our mid laner, Zhou Yu, and our support, Su Lai. He was walking straight into my trap. I felt a wave of relief. This was manageable. "Su Lai, don't come here," I commanded. "Clear your lane and go straight to the blue side. Don't be stingy with your flash. Use your second skill to push the jungle monsters out of their pit." I turned my attention to the rest of the map. "Bai Qi, clear your wave and go help at the blue side. You don't need to kill the tiger. Just delay him. Zhou Yu, Han Han, clear your waves and come to red. Dong Huang doesn't have flash. He's a dead man." Han Han raised an eyebrow. I could practically hear his surprise through the headset. My plan was meticulous. In the early game, Dong Huang is a nightmare for melee heroes because he heals by touching them. By sending the melee heroes away and bringing the long-range attackers, I was neutralizing his biggest strength. "This kid isn't simple," Han Han muttered. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about being clever. I just wanted the damage. I could steal the buff on my own, but killing Dong Huang solo was a pipe dream. With Zhou Yu and Han Han's damage, it was a guaranteed kill. The enemy had no idea what was coming. I stayed hidden in the brush. If I showed myself too early, Dong Huang would stop attacking the buff and just harass me. He checked 2 nearby bushes, found nothing, and reported to his team that the coast was clear. Over on the blue side, Pei Qin, who was confused. "Is Luna counter-invading my jungle?" It happened sometimes. When junglers knew they couldn't protect their own territory, they'd try a desperate trade. "Zhang Liang, check our jungle after you clear mid." The monsters finally spawned. Thinking I was gone, Pei Qin Hu and Dong Huang started attacking the buffs, desperate to finish quickly and return home. But then, things went sideways for them. Zhang Liang called out from mid lane, sounding panicked. "Zhou Yu is headed to red. Su Lai is headed to blue. Be careful." A second later, our marksman added, "Sun Shangxiang here. Han Han's Gongsun Li is moving to red too. He cleared his wave way faster than me." Dong Huang realized he was trapped. No flash, a mage and a marksman closing in, and a Luna hiding somewhere in the dark. "I guess I'm dead," he muttered. "Small problem," Pei Qin Hu replied, still confident. "Luna is starting the game with 0 buffs. She's already useless." Suddenly, the tiger player let out a scream of pure rage. "You've got to be kidding me. This Su Lai." Su Lai had used flash to get into the blue pit and slammed the monster out of its range with his second skill. When a jungle monster is pushed too far, its health resets to full as it walks back to its starting point. All of Pei Qin Hu's hard work vanished in an instant. He had to start all over while Su Lai just stood there, being a nuisance. "Why are you playing so dirty?" the tiger player growled, switching to human form to pelt Su Lai with ranged attacks. Then, another curse came through their comms. "Damn it, Luna was in the bush the whole time." The tiger player shifted his camera and saw me finally engaging Dong Huang. His heart sank. He realized then that everything, every movement, every rotation, had been calculated. Dong Huang, don't panic, the tiger said, trying to stay calm. Just take the red buff before you die. Are you kidding? Dong Huang yelled back. My smite does 200 less damage than hers. How am I supposed to outsmite her? He was desperate. All he could do was try to hurt me before the end. Han Han's Gongsun Li arrived, peppering him with arrows, while Zhou Yu set the ground on fire. Why is this fire burning a god who floats in the air? Dong Huang complained as his health plummeted. In the middle of the chaos, the red buff's health dropped lower and lower. It was almost time. My finger hovered over the smite button. One hit, and the game would truly begin. With god-level hand speed and reactions, I didn't hesitate. I tapped smite. In an instant, the red buff transformed into a streak of crimson light and surged into my Luna's body. The enemy Dong Huang Tai let out a heavy sigh. He had failed. My timing was simply too fast for him to match. Even though his thumb had been hovering right over the smite button the entire time, he couldn't react before the gold and experience were mine. I hit level 2 immediately. I tapped my second skill, Searing Sword, wrapping a small shield around myself. It was a tiny shield, but it felt incredibly secure. Having lost the buff, Dong Huang was stuck. He started circling me, trying to use his swirling orbs to wear down my health as much as possible. But against 3 of us, his healing was a joke. His health bar began to plummet. I looked at Han Han. Since he had been willing to help me guard my jungle, I decided to be generous. I'll give this kill to you, I said over the comms. Han Han's eyes widened. A flash of surprise crossed his face. First blood was worth 225 gold, the equivalent of a free iron sword right at the start of the landing phase. Well, I won't be polite then. Han Han laughed, unable to hide his grin. He had originally planned to leave the kill for me since Luna needs the economy more than anyone. But since I offered, he wasn't going to say no. I guess this kid knows his limits, Han Han thought to himself, his ego inflating by the second. He knows he can't carry this game, so he's sucking up to me. Fine, I'll carry you to a win. Ling Er, watching all of this from the mid lane, was fuming. Her cheeks puffed out with rage. When he plays with me, he's useless and steals my farm. But when he plays with Han Han, he's suddenly a gentleman giving away first blood. She complained to her stream, and the chat exploded with laughter. Ling Er, maybe he's just one of the boys, one viewer joked. Others teased that I had no chivalry when playing with a girl, but was a total simp for a pro player. They had no idea what I was actually calculating. Under my generous guidance, Han Han's Gongsun Li took the kill. Because Dong Huang had fought back hard, my Luna was sitting at half health. In the enemy base, the Dong Huang player stared at his gray screen. I tried, he muttered. If it weren't for the jungle protection mechanic, that buff would have been mine. Tiger, just finish the blue buff and get out. He shifted his camera to the blue area, expecting to see Pei Qin, who finishing up. Instead, he nearly jumped out of his seat. What the hell are you doing? He yelled. Why is the blue buff still at full health? The second wave of mid-lane minions was already meeting, yet the blue buff still had 2/3 of its health. Even a support hero like Yao could have cleared it by now, let alone a high-tier jungler like the Tiger. Shut your mouth, the Tiger player barked back. You think I'm doing this on purpose? Dong Huang was about to snap back, but then he saw the scene on his screen. It was comedy gold. In my blue jungle, a half-health Su Lai was standing right in front of the buff. Every time the Tiger tried to finish it, Su Lai would use his pole to shove the monster out of the pit. Before the buff could even walk back, our top laner, Bai Qi, would use his scythe to pull it even further away. The Tiger was left standing there, shivering in the wind, his teeth gritted in fury. He wanted to kill these 2 nuisances, but at level 1, with the jungle protection reducing his damage, he couldn't do a thing. Dong Huang actually started laughing. It's a strange part of human nature. Seeing someone else having a worse time makes you feel better about your own failure. Bro, he chuckled, just give up. That blue buff isn't happening. The Tiger player was vibrating with rage. He knew it was over. If he had known it would be like this, they would have invaded the same side together. But it was too late for regrets. My plan had worked perfectly. Despite their aggressive invade, my Luna was now ahead of the Tiger in both level and gold. He shifted into Tiger form and hopped over the wall, retreating. If he stayed any longer, he wouldn't just lose the buff, He'd lose his life once I rotated over with Zhouyu. Whoa, Luna, your shot calling is actually insane, one of my teammates admitted. It was the first bit of praise I'd received. Most Lunas would have lost half their jungle in this matchup, but I had held the line effortlessly. I allowed myself a small, proud smile. I told you, I'm carrying this. Han Han wasn't convinced. I think I'm the one carrying, he countered. I didn't argue. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this game. The kill I gave him earlier? I'd be collecting interest on that debt soon enough. I cleared my blue side and soaked up a bit of experience from the mid lane. Finally, I hit level 4. I took a deep breath. Level 4 is the turning point for Luna. Before this, I was a victim. Now, I was the hunter. The tiger started red and rotated down. I mapped it out in my head. He's going to gank the bottom lane. I headed toward the gold lane and signaled Han Han. He understood immediately. His Gong Sun Li was already dominating the enemy's Sun Shangxiang, pinning her under the tower thanks to the gold lead I gave him. But I wasn't the first one to arrive. The tiger leaped out from the brush, claws out, diving straight for Han Han. The tiger leaped from the river directly in front of Gong Sun Li. He bit down hard, instantly shifting into human form. He swung his nunchucks with a fierce wind, unleashing a relentless flurry of attacks. "Wokeo!" Han Han yelled into his mic. The enemy Pei Qin, who was desperate. He hadn't even finished clearing his blue side before rushing down here to gank. I quickly dragged my camera view toward the gold lane. I noticed something immediately. The tiger only had a single red circle beneath his feet. This was perfect. If I killed him now, his blue buff would belong to me. I felt a surge of adrenaline. I wanted to teleport there instantly, but Luna's movement speed didn't care about my impatience. The fight in the gold lane was brutal. Sun Shangxiang and the tiger were both pouring damage into Gong Sun Li. Even though Han Han used his ultimate to create distance, the red buff slow effect was sticking to him. He couldn't make it back to the safety of the tower in time. As his health plummeted, the tiger shifted back into beast form, preparing to finish him off with the execution damage from his first skill. The tiger secured the kill. Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have pushed so deep, Han Han cursed. He was a tiger specialist himself and knew the jungle clear speeds by heart. He just never expected the enemy to skip his blue buff entirely just to catch him off guard. "Don't worry, Han Go," I said into the mic. "I'll get revenge for you." "Be careful," he warned. "Don't let your ultimate go on cooldown." "I'm not playing jungle Gaguzi," I shot back. "I'm not going to mess up." Han Han looked like he wanted to slap himself for talking back, but I knew he was curious. My earlier shot calling had already surprised him. If my mechanics matched my strategy, it meant I was a top-tier player. I arrived at the lane. I started with a standard 1-3 combo, marking the front minion and dashing through it. I landed a reinforced basic attack, marking the wave again. Then I triggered New Moon Burst. With 2 rapid-fire dashes, I was suddenly right on top of the tiger. He wasn't going to go down without a fight. He tried to leap toward the terrain to escape, but I was faster. Before he could launch, I hit him with my second skill, pulling him back and interrupting his jump. Then, I began a silky smooth sequence. Watching from the death screen, Han Han was stunned. He just stared at his phone, speechless. It was fast, accurate, and incredibly stable. Usually, after a Luna finishes a combo, she has to weave in basic attacks to stack marks. I didn't do that. Using the marks on the surrounding minions, I reset my ultimate 4 times in a row. Hitting 4 dashes isn't the hard part. Han Han could do that too. The difficulty was hitting the tiger every single time without accidentally consuming the marks on the other minions. I was moving at twice the speed of a normal player. I was a blur. After a few more passes, the tiger's health hit 0. One final reinforced auto attack, and he was dead. Sun Shangxiang was so terrified she retreated under her tower without looking back. Han Han licked his dry lips. "This guy's Luna. Has to be national rank, right?" "So, Han Go," I asked with a small smile as I cleared the lane minions. "How was my Luna?" "It was all right," Han Han muttered, acting unimpressed. "Still not as good as mine." He was just being stubborn, but his livestream chat wasn't letting him off the hook. They were calling him out, saying his Luna moved like an old lady crossing the street compared to mine. I didn't stay to argue. I headed straight for the enemy blue jungle. Since the tiger had skipped it, the buff was sitting there waiting for me. After taking it, I didn't go back to my jungle. Instead, I hid in the brush near the gold lane again. The enemy's son Shangxiang never expected me to return so soon. As soon as she and Gong Sun Li started trading hits, I lunged out of the grass. I shredded her health with a quick combo but stopped just short of the kill, letting Han Han take the gold. Giving him 2 kills in a row changed his attitude toward me. Under my lead, the game was swinging heavily in our favor. However, the enemy team had a terrifying duo, Dongwang Tai and Zhang Liang. Their combined suppression could lock a player down for 4 seconds. It was a death sentence for any high-mobility hero. Even I didn't want to face them head-on, but my caution made them bold. The tiger, Dongwang, and Zhang Liang marched together into my red jungle. I watched them approach. I wasn't afraid. A cold smile played on my lips. Fine. I wasn't going to look for trouble, but you came to me. I guess I've been too nice. My viewers thought I was joking. They started spamming the chat, telling me I was being too arrogant. They wanted to see me get suppressed and humbled. You guys think I can't take them? I asked the camera. The chat was a wall of yes. All right, let's make a bet. A 1v3 in the jungle. If I lose, I'll give away a 200 yuan red envelope. If I win, everyone watching hits that follow button. Most of these viewers were fans of Han Han or Ling Air who hadn't followed me yet. This was my chance to claim them. In her own stream, Ling Air giggled. He's talking big. That's the Yellow Liang combo. They counter flashy heroes perfectly. Even the top pros wouldn't dare say they could 1v3 that. It wasn't that she doubted my skill, it was just the sheer pressure that duo provided. As the saying goes, you can be as strong as you want, but Dong Huang and Zhang Liang will still sit you down. For seconds of hard CC plus the tiger's damage, a squishy Luna shouldn't survive. I decided it was time to stop holding back. Let me show you how to play Luna when you're up against a suppression comp. I hadn't muted my mic, and Han Han heard me. Damn, this guy loves to brag, Han Han said to his audience. If he actually kills all 3 of them in a 1v3, I'll eat whatever's in the toilet. It was the classic fake bet for views, but the tension was real. I moved in. Han Han, playing Gong Sun Li, started drifting toward the jungle. I knew exactly what he was thinking. He wanted me to bait out the enemy's ultimate crowd control skills so he could swoop in and steal the kills. I stayed quiet, calmly clearing the jungle pigs, waiting for the 3 of them to show up. Soon, the enemy mid-laner, jungler, and support appeared in my vision. Zhang Liang was leading the pack, not Dongwang Tai. Usually, the tanky Dongwang would face-check the bushes, but since he took Smite instead of Flash to steal my camps, he was slower. He had to wait for Zhang Liang to lock me down first. I felt a smile tug at my lips. It was exactly as I predicted. Zhang Liang was terrified I'd use the pigs as a dash reset to fly back to the safety of my tower. He panicked and used his flash to close the gap instantly. In that same heartbeat, I moved. I didn't fly toward my tower. I dashed straight into the back of the red buff pit, seemingly trapping myself. Looking for death, Zhang Liang hissed. He triggered his ultimate, manipulative intrigue. Golden threads of light erupted from his book, binding me in place. I was a sitting duck. The viewers in the chat probably closed their eyes. They knew the drill. The tiger, Pei Qinhu, would pounce in his beast form, followed by Donghuang's suppression, leaving me with 0 chance to breathe. Han Han's expression turned to one of pure disdain. He thought I was just feeding. Pei Qinhu did exactly what everyone expected. He shifted into tiger form and leaped over the wall, shredding into me. But then, the unexpected happened. Because Zhang Liang had flashed forward to catch me, Donghuang was trailing far behind. By repositioning into the pit before the stun hit, I had put a massive stone wall between me and the enemy support. Even with his speed boost, Donghuang couldn't clear the terrain in time. The stun ended. Donghuang was still rounding the corner, just out of reach. He desperately threw out his second skill, launching 3 dark energy orbs to try and stun me again. It was too late. I landed a reinforced basic attack on the tiger, marking him with moonlight. In a flash of silver, I dashed through the wall and landed right in Zhang Liang's face. Han Han gasped. The tables had turned. Pei Qinhu and Donghuang were stuck inside the pit, while I was outside, locked in a 1v1 with a squishy mage. Zhang Liang had given most of his gold to his jungler. He was broke, wearing nothing but basic boots and a few magic books. He had no defense. My economy was the highest in the game. I had kills, assists, and I'd been vacuuming up farm. I tore through his health bar in seconds. Dong Wang, where are you? Follow up. Zhang Liang screamed in the team chat. You rushed in too fast. Dong Wang barked back. I don't have flash. How am I supposed to keep up? If I didn't flash, he would have escaped. Zhang Liang yelled, but his voice was full of panic. He tried to run, but with no flash left, he was a dead man. I claimed his life effortlessly. Dong Wang finally rounded the corner, but before he could touch me, I used my ultimate to fly back into the pit, engaging the tiger again. Damn it. Stop flying around. Dong Wang cursed. He turned around to head back into the pit, but as soon as he reached the entrance, I used the mark on the tiger to fly back out. I was playing with them. It was like that meme. I'm out. I'm in, come hit me. Dong Wang's face turned bright red. His blood pressure was clearly hitting the ceiling. I shouldn't have listened to you and taken smite, he growled at the tiger. If I had flash, this Luna would be dead. How was I supposed to know this guy was a god? Pei Qinhu snapped. He was losing the fight badly. When I killed Zhang Liang, I leveled up, and my prophecy of time item kicked in, restoring a chunk of my health. I felt like a puppet master. Everything was under my control. The tiger tried to hop the wall to escape, but I didn't give him an inch. I stayed glued to him. This gave Dong Wang his one chance. He finally lunged forward and suppressed me with his ultimate. Got you. You're finished. Pei Qinhu cheered, shifting back to human form to finish me off. But before he could fire a shot, a red and white paper umbrella flew through the air. Holy crap, run. It's Gong Sunli. It was too late. The tiger had already used his jump. Han Han triggered his frenzy talent, determined not to let a single kill slip through his fingers. With the lead I had fed him earlier, Han Han's damage was lethal. He shredded the tiger in 3 hits. That left only Dong Wang. He stood no chance against the two of us. I ended his misery with a final stroke of my blade. Technically, it was a 2v3, but everyone watching knew the truth. I had dismantled their coordination before Han Han even arrived. My positioning had turned their perfect counter into a disorganized mess. The chat went silent for a moment before exploding. They were terrified by the level of calculation I had shown. It wasn't just fast fingers, it was psychological warfare. All right, brothers, I said, leaning back as the triple kill announcement echoed. I think I earned those follows, didn't I? The 2 remaining enemies couldn't escape my grasp. As the dust settled, my voice echoed through the stream, and the chat exploded. That wasn't too much, was it? I asked. The fans were losing their minds. Not at all. Brother, your Luna is insane. Teach me. One viewer pleaded. Another chimed in. I'm subscribing right now. Every Luna player is terrified of Dong Wang and Zhang Liang, but you're the only one who charges straight at them. It seemed I had shattered their fear. It wasn't that the anti-carry duo was too strong. It was just that everyone else was too weak. My follower count surged. As my stats climbed, the platform's algorithm kicked in, pushing my stream to even more people. The future looked bright. But while I was joking around with my new fans, the enemy team was deathly silent. Sun Shangxiang was the first to snap. What is wrong with you 3? She demanded. Dong Wang and Zhang Liang invading a Luna's jungle and getting triple killed? How? You couldn't blame her for the pressure. That specific trio, Dong Wang, Zhang Liang, and Pei Qinhu, should have been an unstoppable death squad. Even if Gong Sunli had shown up to help me, we should have both ended up dead. The result was humiliating. The 3 culprits stayed quiet, like children who had just been scolded by an elder. Finally, Sun Shangxiang sighed. We need to change strategy. The invasion failed. Let's focus on picking them off one by one. It was a smart move. Aside from me and Gong Sunli, their team didn't have anyone who could hold their own. We were the only ones with gold. In this season, the bounty system was punishing. If they killed us, the gold reward for the killer and the assistants would be massive. One mistake on our end could flip the entire game. Good idea, the others agreed. Sun Shangxiang, your damage is high. Come with us to hunt them down. Meanwhile, I was watching the minimap. I noticed Zhang Liang, Dong Wang, and Sun Shangxiang vanish from the mid lane. It was obvious. They were coming for me and Han Han. I wasn't worried. In fact, a wicked smile played on my lips. I had gifted Han Han 3 kills earlier. Now, it was time to collect the interest. The enemy team activated their Wolf Totem active item. I heard the howl. They were sprinting toward the bottom lane. Han Han panicked and tried to retreat, but I stopped him. Don't run, brother Han. Zhang Liang already used his ultimate. Wait, really? Han Han hesitated. He used it already? Of course, I lied smoothly. He used it on our Bai Qi in the mid lane. I saw it with my own eyes. You must have missed it on the map. Poor Bai Qi was probably sitting in his lane wondering when he'd ever been suppressed by Zhang Liang. But Han Han didn't know that. Even if his ULT is down, Han Han argued, Dong Wang is still there. I scoffed. Dong Wang doesn't even have flash. Are you telling me you can't outplay him? You're playing Gong Sun Li. Show some skill. It was a crude provocation, but it worked perfectly. Han Han's ego flared up immediately. Who says I can't outplay him? I've got a national title on this hero. Don't look down on me. Then prove it, I challenged. Zhang Liang's ULT is definitely down. I promise. Han Han trusted me. Maybe it was because I had given him those kills earlier. He stopped running, turned around, and dashed back toward the enemy with his first skill. He popped his frenzy talent, ready to 1v3 and make a highlight reel. The second he pressed the button, he froze. A golden beam of light locked him in place. I'm going to lose it. Han Han screamed. You said his ultimate was down. He was trapped by Zhang Liang's suppression. He was a sitting duck. He realized then that I had played him. I gave you those kills for nothing. You set me up. I started laughing. It was a manic, triumphant sound. I had spent the whole game building his trust just for this moment. Dong Wang and Zhang Liang were patient players. They wouldn't waste their ultimates unless they were sure of a kill. Between a Luna and a Gong Sun Li, they'd wait for the best target. Since Luna is a melee fighter, I was usually the target. I needed a sacrificial lamb to clear the way. As Zhang Liang held Han Han in place, Sun Shangxiang unloaded her full combo. Han Han's health bar vanished. This was my cue. I lunged at Dong Wang. Seeing me close in, Dong Wang didn't hesitate. He slammed his ultimate down, suppressing me instantly. Quick, I've got the Luna. Kill her, he shouted to his team. But no one came. Sun Shangxiang had already burned all her skills on Han Han. She wasn't going to switch targets when Han Han was one hit from death. And Zhang Liang. If he moved or used another skill to help Dong Wang, his own suppression on Han Han would break. It was a perfect calculation. I had forced them to split their focus. Dong Wang had me suppressed, but he had no backup to finish the job. I took the hit, but I wasn't dying. Why are you only hitting me? Han Han roared as he collapsed under Sun Shangxiang's cannons. A moment later, the suppression on me wore off. I was free. I landed a reinforced basic attack on Dong Wang's head, marking him with a lunar sigil. Then I dashed. Not toward the tank, but toward the real prize. Sun Shangxiang saw me coming and burned her flash to retreat under her second tower. I didn't care. A wave of minions was marching toward the tower. I swung my blade, sending a wave of moonlight forward to mark them all. The hunt was on. I marked every single minion with a lunar sigil. It was showtime. I activated my ultimate twice in rapid succession, blurring across the screen until I was right on top of Sun Shangxiang. I landed a quick basic attack to close the gap, then unleashed my second skill, Blue Knight's Radiance. My blade spun, pulling her in. I danced around her, my ultimate resetting perfectly with every strike. My economy was massive, and Sun Shangxiang had no defensive items to save her. In 3 hits, she was gone. The enemy Dong Wang and Zhang Liang were sitting ducks without their cooldowns. They couldn't escape my grasp. Triple kill. The announcement echoed through the speakers. With their core damage dealers dead, only Pei Qinhu and Lu Bu remained. They stood no chance against our momentum. My teammates finally gathered their wits, and the 4 of us pushed down the mid lane. We shattered the crystal in one final, aggressive burst. As the victory screen popped up, I checked the stats. Thanks to my calculated plays, Han Han had missed out on the MVP. I can't believe this. That play was so dirty. Han Han's voice boomed as he stormed into my livestream chat. I trusted you, and you did me like that. I couldn't help but chuckle. I didn't want to, man, but you were trying to steal my MVP. I had to defend myself. Ling Er was watching the exchange from her own stream, and she started giggling uncontrollably. Seeing Han Han so frustrated actually made her feel better about her own rough game. It's true what they say, nothing cures your own misery like seeing someone else having an even worse time. Ling Er, did you tell him to torture me? Han Han demanded, noticing she was in the chat. I didn't have the time, she shot back. I was a victim 2 games ago, remember? This guy is a total dog, but man, he's actually got some serious skills. Han Han had to admit she was right. Despite being betrayed, he was impressed. Playing Luna against a countercomp like Dong Wang, Zhang Liang, and Pei Qinhu is usually a nightmare. Most players would have lost their jungle in the first 3 minutes. Not only did I hold my ground, but I had actually invaded Pei Qinhu's jungle and stolen his farm. Doing that to a professional tier tiger player is a feat you can brag about for a lifetime. Bro, add me, Han Han typed. When you officially sign as a pro streamer, I can pull some strings and help you get some traffic. I accepted the friend request immediately. I knew how the world worked. More friends meant more paths. Back then, if I had bumped into Han Han in a match, he wouldn't have given me a second glance. I was too weak to be worth his time. But the system had changed everything. Now, he saw me as a potential heavyweight, someone worth befriending before I truly took off. Add me too. Ling Er chimed in. We should play together sometime. The viewers were stunned. Usually, it was random players begging streamers for a spot on their friend list. Seeing 2 massive streamers compete to add a nobody was unheard of. But the fans weren't stupid. They had seen my mechanics. My skills were at a level that would make some pro players blush. I kept going for several more hours. I played over 20 matches and didn't lose a single one. My peak rank skyrocketed to 1,800 points. A 20-game win streak at that level is pure insanity. It was like a god descending among mortals. Yigu, are you cheating? How did you get so cracked? My old fans asked. They remembered when I used to sweat just trying to stay at 1,800. Now, I was massacring everyone. At this rate, I'd hit the 2,400 point ceiling within a week. Just as I was about to queue again, a notification popped up. I had hit the playtime limit and was being forced off the game. I looked up and realized I'd been playing for 5 hours straight. My stream was holding steady at 5,000 viewers, and my follower count was climbing. I looked out the window. The sun was long gone, replaced by the glittering lights of the city skyscrapers. My stomach growled loudly. I'd only had a bowl of instant noodles at noon, and now that the adrenaline was fading, the hunger and exhaustion hit me like a truck. All right, brothers, that's it for today, I told the chat. If you like what you see, hit that follow button. I'm live every afternoon. Don't get lost, and I'll see you tomorrow. I shut down the stream and checked my earnings. I'd made about 800 yuan in gifts today. After the platform's cut, I had over 400 in my pocket. Combined with the 10,000 yuan security deposit the system gave me, I felt like a rich man. Time to treat myself, I muttered. Barbecue and beer it is. The November air in Jiangsheng was getting chilly, so I grabbed a jacket and headed down to the food street. I sat at an outdoor stall and ordered a mountain of meat and oysters. There's no feeling quite like cold beer and hot charcoal grilled food after a long day. After I finished eating, I wasn't ready to go home yet. I found myself wandering toward a massage parlor. I told myself I wasn't there for anything scandalous. I just needed to relax. One of the girls told me a heartbreaking story about her sick mother and her broken family, and I ended up spending my entire day's earnings on tips and a long massage. I didn't feel guilty. What's the point of making money if you can't enjoy it? It was late when I finally got back to my apartment building. I knocked on the landlord's door. An old man in a tank top opened up, looking annoyed. Kid, it's the middle of the night, he grumbled. This better be important, or I'm kicking you out tomorrow. I'd been dodging him for days because I couldn't pay the rent. He was a grumpy old man, but he had a soft heart. He knew I was struggling, so he'd let it slide longer than he should have. Don't worry, uncle. I'm here to pay the rent. His eyebrows shot up. Oh, you strike it rich. Not rich, but enough for this, I said, tapping on my phone to transfer the money. He looked at his phone and frowned. Wait, the rent is 700. Why did you send me 1,000? The extra 300 is to thank you for looking after me all this time, I said, leaning against the doorframe. I'll probably be moving out soon. The old man snorted, but he couldn't hide the small smile tugging at his lips. He tapped his palm with a folding fan and looked me up and down. Moving already? And here you said you didn't strike it rich. His eyes were full of relief. This place was an old residential building, dirty, messy, and loud. Most of the tenants were middle-aged or elderly. I was the only young guy around, a bit of an outlier in this decaying block. All right, uncle, get some rest, I said. I'll try to be out of here by tomorrow. Kid, he called out as I turned to the stairs. I stopped at the corner and looked back. Take care of yourself out there. I grinned at him. Uncle, are you actually going to miss me? If you're that sad to see me go, you could just let me stay here for free. Get out of here, he barked, waving his fan dismissively. Who would miss a brat who makes noise in the middle of the night? I hope you move out tonight. I laughed and hurried up the stairs. There were no lights in the stairwell, and my shadow quickly vanished into the darkness. Once I was back in my room, I took a hot shower to wash off the smell of barbecue smoke. I tossed my clothes into the washing machine and collapsed onto the bed. I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through apartment listings. My current place wasn't terrible, but the internet was trash. Sometimes it would just cut out mid-game, and the location was so remote that getting anywhere was a nightmare. Now that I had some money, it was time for an upgrade. Life is about moving up, as long as you aren't living on credit. I quickly found a spot in the city center. 2 bedrooms, 1 living room, a balcony, and all the appliances I could need. Best of all, the internet speed was lightning fast. It was a shared rental, which meant a single room was $1,700 a month. If I wanted the whole place, it would cost $4,000. I decided a single room was enough. I spent most of my time at home anyway, only heading out when I needed a good meal. I was about to lock my phone and get some sleep when it started buzzing. The caller ID made my heart skip a beat before turning cold. Zheng Xueling, my ex-girlfriend. We had already broken up, so why was she calling me? Our relationship had been nothing but mutual convenience. We both knew it. What's going on, Xueling? Did you guys break up? A female voice asked in the background. If you did, then forget it. I don't want to make things awkward. I narrowed my eyes. There was a story here. No, he's just joking. Zheng Xueling's voice came through, sounding desperate. He loves to joke around. Right, babe? I felt a smirk crawl across my face. So, she was in a tight spot. I decided to play along, mostly to vent some of the resentment I still carried. That's right, I said, my voice dripping with fake affection. I'm just teasing her. What's up, babe? I almost gagged saying the word babe, but I wasn't about to pass up this chance to see her squirm. It's like this, babe, she said, her voice shifting into a high-pitched, cutesy tone. The 4 of us in the dorm are stuck in the diamond rank. Aren't you a pro with a 2,000-point peak rating? We want you to carry us to master rank. Please, big brother, help us out. The other 3 girls in the background started chiming in with their own exaggerated, flirtatious pleas. It was a full-on assault of ego. Any other guy might have folded, but I was a veteran. I'd spent years as a professional gaming companion, dealing with all sorts of female bosses. Plus, I'd just come back from a relaxing massage. My heart was as still as a frozen lake. I realized what was happening. They must have been on a losing streak. Zheng Xueling had probably spent months bragging about her god-tier gamer boyfriend, and now her friends were calling her bluff. She hadn't told them we broke up that afternoon because she didn't want to lose face. I saw an opportunity to make a little profit. No problem, I said, my mind spinning. You guys free tomorrow morning? I can carry you through a couple of games. Thank you, boss. You're the best, the girls squealed. A moment later, the background noise faded. Zheng Xueling was alone now. Thanks, she muttered. For what? I asked. For not letting you look like a fool? Verbal thanks are cheap. Give me something real. How much do you want? She snapped. She knew me well enough to know I wasn't doing this for free. Not much. 500 will do. 500. Are you insane? I could practically hear her grinding her teeth. Look at the math, I said calmly. $20 a star per person. 4 of you in a winning game is $80 total. 500 for the whole session is a friend price. You're a piece of work, she hissed. Her monthly allowance was only $2,000. I was taking a quarter of it in one go. She was clearly regretting her decision to brag. If I had said I was busy, she could have just waited until they forgot about it. But I had agreed instantly, trapping her. We hung up, and a few seconds later, a notification popped up. 500 yuan. I couldn't stop smiling. That felt good. I knew her well. She was obsessed with her image. As long as I played the part of the doting boyfriend in front of her friends, she'd pay whatever I asked just to keep the lie alive. If you want to keep your face, you have to lose your wallet. I turned off my phone and drifted into the deepest sleep I'd had in years. No stress, no worrying about rent, no inner turmoil. When I woke up the next morning, I felt like a new man. I jumped out of bed and started packing my things. It was time to move. I didn't have much to pack besides my computer and some clothes. I hit the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and splashed cold water on my face to wake up. After ordering some takeout for breakfast, I opened WeChat. Because of what happened yesterday, Zheng Xueling and I were friends again on the app. But the power dynamic had completely shifted. I was the one in control now. I typed out a quick message and hit send. You awake? Yeah, she replied instantly. Wanna play now? I asked. Wait a bit. I have things to do, she countered. It's now or never, I told her. I wasn't going to baby her. I had to move and set up my new place this afternoon, so I wouldn't have time later. Tonight, I was planning to grind for the top spot on the leaderboards. This morning was my only free window. Fine, she snapped back. I'll go call my roommates. Don't make me look bad, or I'm taking my 500 yuan back. She was clearly still bitter about having to pay me to save her reputation. I just smiled. Don't worry, I replied. I'm a professional. I'll make sure you get your money's worth of emotional validation. I logged out of my client's account and switched to my own. Between all the boosting jobs and playmate requests, I hadn't touched my main account in ages. I was sitting at 1,800 points in the peak tournament. My old national rank had slipped away, leaving me with just a few provincial titles. It was enough, though. These girls hadn't even reached the master rank. They wouldn't know the difference. Zheng Xueling hopped online and sent the invite. Her roommates were already waiting in the lobby. I was the last one in. Hey there, ladies, I said, turning on my mic with a grin. The response was cold. I saw them clicking on my profile, checking my stats. Their tones turned sharp immediately. Xueling, is this the boyfriend you were talking about? One of them asked. Her voice was full of disdain. He's not even that good. No national titles? And 1,800 points isn't high, right? I heard everyone starts at 1,200. Cece's boyfriend was 1,500 yesterday, and even he couldn't carry us. Can this guy even play? I felt a cold smirk crawl across my face. These girls couldn't even climb out of the low ranks, yet they were looking down on an 1,800-point player? They probably didn't even have a district title to their names, yet they were scoffing at a former national rank. They had the exact same shitty attitude as Zheng Xueling. Zheng Xueling stammered, trying to explain that I used to be over 2,000 points, but I cut her off. You've never played in the peak tournament, I said, my voice flat. To you, I'm like the moon seen from the bottom of a well. Huge, but unreachable. Maybe if you're lucky enough to reach master rank one day, you'll realize that seeing me is like a tiny bug looking up at the vast sky. I didn't give them an inch of face. The lobby went silent for a second before the girls exploded in anger. Wow, listen to him. So arrogant for 1,800 points. If you're so good, why aren't you number one? Why aren't you playing professionally? My grin didn't fade. Don't worry. A week from now, I will be number one. What a blowhard, one of them muttered. They didn't understand the difficulty gap. They watched highlight reels on TikTok and convinced themselves they could do the same. All right, let's just start, Zheng Xueling said, trying to play peacemaker. She looked embarrassed, but I could tell she was annoyed with her friends too. I was her boyfriend, and they were trashing me in front of her. When Cece's boyfriend showed up yesterday, they treated him like a god. Now it was her turn, and they were being snakes. What they didn't realize was that Cece's boyfriend was trash compared to me. Even without my new system, I could sleepwalk through an 1,800-point game. With the system, hero limitations didn't exist for me anymore. The queue popped instantly. We moved into the hero select screen, and the bickering started again. They all wanted to play mid or support. Since I was jungling, Zheng Xueling took support to stay with me. The others scrambled for the rest. I needed someone who could snowball fast. Someone flashy, someone who would shut these girls up for good. I locked in by Li Xiansu. Zheng Xueling immediately pinged me on WeChat. Are you kidding? If you throw this game, they'll never let me hear the end of it. Who's throwing? I replied. Picking Xian Su is throwing. I've never even seen you play him. We had been together for a year. She'd only ever seen me play simple, low-skill junglers like Monkey or Nakaruru. She thought I was picking a difficult hero just to spite her roommates. Relax, I told her. I've been practicing. I'm going to crush them. For the first time, Zheng Xueling and I were actually on the same side. The enemy of my enemy was my friend. The rosters were set. Our side, Jiao Chan top, me on Xian Su jungle, Xiao Qiao mid, Jia Luo marksman, and Yao support. The enemy, Ma Chao, Sun Wukong, Angela, Ho Yi, and Kai Wenji. As the loading screen appeared, the girl playing Xiao Qiao piped up again. You don't even have the white tiger skin? That default skin is so ugly. I was using the basic original skin I'd gotten for free from a fragment shop. I wasn't spending money on this account. Does a skin decide how you play? I asked. You could be wearing the most expensive skin in the game, and you'd still just be a target for the enemy to hit. I was done being polite. Zheng Xueling had paid me, and I usually have professional standards, but these girls were starting to piss me off. I wasn't going to humor them anymore. When Yilan finished speaking, Zheng Xueling covered her mouth to keep from laughing out loud, her shoulders shaking. The girl playing Xiao Qiao, the one with the expensive Swan Dream skin, was actually the worst player out of the four. She had gone 0-7 or 0-8 in her last few matches. She never thought it was a skill issue, though. She genuinely believed the enemies targeted her because they were jealous of her expensive skins. She was the perfect example of someone using the priciest gear to take the hardest beatings. Xueling, your boyfriend is bullying me. You have to do something. The girl cried out, her eyes welling with tears as she looked for support. Zheng Xueling had been annoyed with her for a long time. Yilan was finally giving her an outlet for her frustration. She wasn't about to help. She gave a fake, cold smile. That's just how he is. I can't control him. You'll just have to get used to it. The girl punched her pillow in frustration. Get used to it? Who gets used to being scolded? That's just being a masochist. The game started. I moved my Baili Xian Su toward the red buff. There are many jungle paths for this hero, each leading to a different playstyle. Starting blue is faster for farming gold and resources, but starting red sets the foundation for early ganks. I wanted to set the pace immediately. When you're smuffing, you don't give the fish a chance to breathe. I wanted total dominance. The minions met in the lanes, and the monsters spawned. I cleared the red buff in a few hits and headed straight for the bottom lane. The enemy marksman was Ho Yi, a hero with 0 mobility. If I could land a slow on him early, he'd be dead meat once our Jia Luo added her damage. The enemy Ho Yi knew what he was doing. He pushed the wave hard under Jia Luo's tower and then turned to the river to take the crab for extra gold. He fired a golden beam of light to weaken it. Just as he stepped up to finish it with a basic attack, I acted. A dark red chain flew out from the bush on the left. It hit him dead center. Before Ho Yi could even react with his flash, I used my backflip skill to toss him into the brush. I followed up with a basic attack, applying the red buff slow effect. Jia Luo reacted instantly, activating her first skill to pelt him with arrows. Under our combined assault, Ho Yi's struggle was pointless. First blood. Wow. First blood in under a minute. You're so good. The girl playing Jia Luo was genuinely impressed. I kept my response cool. Don't fall in love. I'm just a legend. Zheng Xueling laughed. Your boyfriend is so funny. He's got a great sense of humor. The praise from her friend made Zheng Xueling feel great. The $500 she paid me was already worth it just for the ego boost. I had my own plan, though. I wanted to drive a wedge between Xiao Qiao and the others. After the gank, I cleared my way through the blue jungle. I didn't have time for the mid-lane river crab, so I let the enemy Wukong take it. Once I hit level 4, I headed straight for the top lane. Normally, Ma Chao should lose to Jiao Chan early on, but our Jiao Chan was so bad she was being pinned under her own tower. Ma Chao was arrogantly poking the tower, completely unaware of the danger. By the time I arrived, it was too late for him to run. Even with his speed boost and ultimate active, he couldn't escape my prediction. I watched his zigzag movements with a calm mind and threw the hook exactly where he was going to be. Hooked, flipped, sliced. I stayed glued to him with my ultimate, landing basic attacks until he dropped. It was seamless. Diao Chan didn't even have to do anything before Ma Chao's corpse hit the dirt. Xueling, his xiansu is so smooth. I can't imagine how cool it would look if he had the white tiger skin. Zheng Xueling was beaming. He didn't know how to play xiansu back then, so we didn't buy it. I'll get it for him next time it's available in the shop. She made it sound like we were a devoted couple, and her friends were eating it up. Suddenly, a sharp, angry voice cut through the chatter in the team chat. Can you all stop talking? Can you focus on the game for once? It was the Xiao Qiao player. Ying, why did you die? One of the girls asked. Ren Ying, the girl playing Xiao Qiao, grit her teeth. You're the one who's dead. Your whole family is dead. The girl who asked was startled. I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, how did you get killed? Ying was fuming. She had cleared her mid-wave and tried to roam down to help Jia Luo. But the enemy Yukong and Angela were waiting in the bushes. Without any dash skills, she was deleted before she could even press flash. I didn't say a word. I just moved my xiansu into the mid lane and started clearing her minions. Danger. Retreat. Well played. Seeing me take her gold made Ying explode. Xiansu, what are you doing? Why are you eating my wave? You're dead, I said coldly. Should I let the tower eat the gold instead? I wondered if this woman even had a brain. Clearing a dead teammate's lane is standard procedure. That's my wave. Why do you get to take it? She shrieked. My wave. I had never heard anything so stupid. There is no mine or yours in a team game. If we play by her logic, the jungler should be the only one allowed to touch buffs, and marksman should never get red. I didn't bother replying, but I cleared the minions even faster. Ren Ying, can you drop the princess act? Zheng Xueling snapped, her eyes narrowing. My boyfriend is carrying you. What's wrong with him taking a few minions? The tension between them was at a breaking point. The other friends try to play peacemaker. Ying, don't be mad. This Xian Su is really good. He's going to get us the win. We should just focus on that. Yeah, another added. If the game allowed it, I'd give him my own kills just to win. To Ren Ying, those words were like poison. She felt galled. Fine. Just because she was the one with the money, they were all turning on her. So, you're all just going to isolate me? Ren Ying's voice trembled with fake hurt. The mood in the voice chat shifted instantly. My teammates had tried to be nice, but her attitude was finally wearing them down. Ying, talking like that isn't fair. One of the girls, the one playing Jia Luo, finally snapped. Her voice still sounded young, but she wasn't backing down. You lost all day yesterday. You were crying your eyes out, so we asked for help to carry you. First, it was Cece's boyfriend, and now it's Zheng Xueling's boyfriend. Not only are you ungrateful, but you're claiming we're isolating you? Tell us, who exactly is leaving you out? Ren Ying froze. She didn't have an answer for that. Xueling's boyfriend is using his own time to help us rank up, Jia Luo continued, her tone sharp. Know your place. He's not a paid booster. He's doing this as a favor to Xueling stop being so spoiled. I wanted to give that Jia Luo player a high five. Finding a girl who talks sense like that in a game is rarer than finding money on the street. Honestly, I didn't feel bad at all. Ren Ying was just projecting her frustration about dying onto me. She wanted a scapegoat, and she chose the jungler. I didn't ask her to go rotate to the bottom lane and get herself killed. She wandered off, got caught, and now she wanted me to take the blame? She was ugly in character and delusional in mind. But the constant bickering was getting annoying. I decided to play peacemaker on my own terms. Fine, I said, my voice calm. Since you have such a problem with me taking your farm, let's make a deal. Ren Ying took the bait immediately. What kind of deal? If it's ridiculous, I'm not agreeing. It's simple, I told her. As long as you're alive, I won't touch a single one of your minions. But if you're dead, then they're mine. Deal? Deal, she snapped. She clearly thought she wouldn't die again after that last lesson. All right, I chuckled. Whoever breaks the promise is a grandson. Less than a minute later, the enemy Wukong jumped out of a bush in the mid lane and crushed her Xiao Qiao into the dirt. I didn't hesitate. I moved my Xiansu straight to the mid lane and started vacuuming up the gold. You're dead, I said into the mic. I'm taking the wave. Not breaking the deal, right? Ren Ying's head must have been hanging low. Her voice was barely a whisper. Fine, go ahead. I don't care. I could practically hear Zheng Xueling grinning on the other side. She had known Rin Ying for a long time, and she was tired of her rich girl act. Usually, she just swallowed her anger to keep the peace in the dorm, but seeing me shut her friend down like this, she felt like her $500 was the best investment she'd ever made. The tension broke, and the chat got a bit more playful, mostly at Rin Ying's expense. Ying, I teased, I know you really want me to have your farm, but you don't have to rush it. My jungle hasn't even respawned yet. How are you 0 and 8 already? Another friend asked. I don't want to be. Rin Ying wailed, her voice cracking. That stupid monkey keeps targeting me. Xiansu, why aren't you helping? She sounded like she was actually about to cry. I realized then that those viral videos of girls breaking down over video games weren't scripted. It was happening in real time. All right, stop crying, I said, trying not to laugh. I'm coming to help. I steered Xiansu toward the mid lane. As soon as her Xiao Qiao stepped out from under the tower, the enemy Wukong appeared, smelling blood. But this time, she wasn't alone. I lunged out of the brush with a Yao attached to my head. My hook flew true, but it didn't hit the monkey. It caught the enemy Jiao Chan behind him. She panicked, throwing out her abilities, but I used my first skill to dash through the flames. She popped her ultimate, hoping the shield and crowd control immunity would save her. She thought if Wukong could just kill Xiao Qiao, they could double-team me. As the laser from her ultimate singed my health, I flicked my wrist. My ultimate triggered, and with a flash of light, I was behind her. She was stuck in her ultimate animation like a kid stuck in a washing machine. I was fed, having been eating mid-lane farm and picking up kills all game. 2 quick strikes, and her health bar vanished. She tried to flash away, but it was a death flash. She hit the ground before the animation even finished. I turned to help Rin Ying, only to see her Xiao Qiao's corpse already cooling on the floor. Hey, Ying, don't just lie there. I joked, you'll catch a cold. Ugh, you're so annoying, she huffed, her voice sounding a mix of pouty and relieved. Just kill that monkey for me. If you don't avenge me, I'm never letting you touch my minions again. She sounded like a little kid throwing a tantrum. It was actually kind of cute when she wasn't being arrogant. Fine. Watch me destroy him. Wukong had no skills left after killing her. I used the movement speed buff from my kill to hunt him down. 2 hits took half his health. I hooked him, flipped him over my shoulder into our tower, and finished him off with 2 more strikes. Legendary. The announcement echoed through the map. 7 kills, 0 deaths. I was a god. And of course, I went right back to clearing the mid-lane minions. Did you wait for me to die just so you could take the gold? Rin Ying asked suspiciously. I raised an eyebrow. She was smarter than she looked. That was exactly what I did. But I wasn't about to admit it. No way, I lied. I tried to hook the monkey, but he dodged. I had to take out Jiao Chan first. Really, I swear on my life. If I'm lying, Zheng Xueling is a dog. Hey, Xueling shouted. What does your gambling have to do with me? Just say it, I laughed. Chinese people don't lie to Chinese people. Fine, Xueling grumbled. You win. I'm a dog. The other 3 girls in the dorm were losing it, laughing so hard they were probably falling off their beds. Xueling, your boyfriend is hilarious, one of them gasped. He's so dark and funny. And his voice, he must be a total hottie. Xueling's voice was full of pride. Of course he is. He's 6'1", has 6-pack abs, and he's gorgeous. But he's a brat. He'll make you die of anger 1 second and die of laughter the next. He's the kind of guy you love and hate at the same time. I'm so jealous, her friend Cece sighed. My boyfriend is like a piece of wood. A total vegetable. No personality at all. I wouldn't mind having a few more girlfriends. I joked into the mic. The girls in the dorm erupted into laughter again. I focused back on the screen. Things were looking grim for Rin Ying. She was playing Xiao Qiao and her score was a painful 0 kills and 9 deaths. She was basically a walking gold sack for the enemy. Xiao Qiao, stop building full damage, I said, trying to be helpful. Try something else. Rin Ying huffed. She clearly thought I was making fun of her again. I'm a mage. If I don't build damage, what am I supposed to build? Critical hits and attack speed. Not quite, I said. Change your mindset. Sell those glass cannon items. Buy a pair of armor boots, an ominous premonition, and a splendor. But then I won't have any damage, she complained. You're getting deleted instantly, I reminded her. 0 damage is what you're doing now. You can't deal damage if you're dead. Only the living get to carry. She went quiet for a second. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head. That actually makes sense, she whispered. She did exactly what I said, selling her gear and buying Splendor, the item that grants 1.5 seconds of total invincibility. Great, I said, a smirk playing on my lips. Now that you have that, go stand out in the open. You're the bait. I'll be right behind you. I knew it, she shrieked, her voice full of fake outrage. I thought you were actually trying to help me survive. You just want to use me as a human shield. Look, the enemy monkey is obsessed with you, I argued. If you don't go out there, who will? Don't worry. You have Splendor. He can't kill you instantly, and I won't let him finish the job. She was suspicious, but she didn't have a better plan. Besides, she looked at my stats. I was fully built. In just 6 minutes, I had vacuumed up so much gold that my inventory was packed. Attack speed boots, jungle blade, bloodshed, shadow breaker, infinity blade, and shadow blade. I was a nightmare for squishy targets. Fast, high damage, and insane lifesteal. As Rin Ying waddled into the lane, the enemy Wukong didn't hesitate. To him, she was just a free ATM. He leaped out of the brush and slammed his staff down. Her health bar plummeted. But before he could land a second hit, she activated Splendor. She turned into a golden, invincible statue. That was my cue. I swung my chain out from the shadows. Yao, who was attached to me, fired her energy ball, popping Wukong's shield. My hook landed perfectly. The monkey tried to fight back, but he had picked the wrong fight. My damage was on another level. 2 quick slashes and his health was nearly gone. He panicked and used his ultimate, slamming his golden staff into the ground to knock me up. But the invincibility on Xiao Qiao ended right then. Seeing the monkey distracted, Ren Ying mashed every button on her screen. Fans and flames flew everywhere. Even with just one magic item, it was enough to finish off a sliver of health. I got him. I killed the monkey, she screamed, literally jumping on her bed. I actually got a kill. Not bad. I chuckled. A 0-1 breakthrough. Keep it up. Why do you always sound like you're insulting me even when you're praising me? She muttered, though she was still beaming. I laughed it off, but internally, I was checking the clock. I knew if this game dragged on, we'd lose. These girls were playing abstractly, to put it lightly. They probably reached this rank just by playing 1,000 games, not through skill. If the enemy team reached full builds, my lead wouldn't matter anymore. I needed to end this. Now, I stopped farming. I stopped caring about gold. I only saw 2 things, heads and towers. I went on a rampage. Everywhere I went, enemies died and structures crumbled. I was a force of nature. With Yao's disruption skill disabling the enemy towers, I dove straight into their base. I cut through their veins with every strike. I ended the game with a pentakill right inside their fountain. The dorm girls were stunned. They had never seen a game won so easily. They basically did nothing but wander around, yet they won. It was pure, unadulterated fun. The results screen popped up. My by Li Xiansu, 24 kills, 0 deaths, 3 assists. A perfect 16.0 rating. It was like dropping a nuclear bomb into a goldfish pond. So, anyone still doubting my skills? I asked playfully. The girls went quiet, probably remembering how they talked down to me before the match started. Oh, brother. We were just young and ignorant. One of them cooed in a sugary sweet voice. Please don't be mad at us. I felt my skin crawl. This wasn't a girl's dorm, it was a spider's nest. No wonder guys are so curious about these places. It's a different world in there. It's fine, I said, playing the professional. For Xueling's sake, I'll let it slide. I made sure to give Xueling the credit. Even though we had our friction, she was the one paying, and a good booster always makes the client look good. The other girls immediately started showering her with compliments. How pretty she was, how generous, how great her temper was. I rolled my eyes. Great temper? If that description fit Zheng Xueling, I'd eat my keyboard. But she was clearly loving the worship. Time flew by as we kept playing. We went on a massive winning streak, over a dozen games in a row. 2 of the girls even hit the king rank. They were addicted to the feeling of winning while doing absolutely nothing. The fun ended when my doorbell rang. All right, that's it for today, I said. I have to move. They groaned, begging for one more game, but I cut the feed. I packed my few belongings, mostly just my old computer, and loaded them into the van I had called. I didn't have much, and my gear was ancient, but that would change soon. With the money I was making now, I'd be upgrading everything. Just not today. I pulled a pack of blue radishes from my pocket and handed one to the driver. I lit one for myself and took a long drag. I exhaled a cloud of white smoke, feeling the exhaustion leave my body with the breath. After a few quick puffs, I leaned back in the rear seat to rest. I had been up since 8 this morning. Carrying 4 girls through games all morning was draining. They were beyond bad. If I had relaxed for even a second, there was no way we would have won over a dozen games in a row. This was exactly why I hated taking orders from female bosses. It was exhausting. You had to win, and you had to provide emotional value by being nice. It felt like training with lead weights on my soul. Of course, I'd make an exception if the boss was a big tipper. The van drove smoothly, and I drifted off. The new place wasn't far from the old one, but traffic turned the trip into a full hour. Once we arrived, I paid the driver and hauled my luggage through the gate. I had already hammered out the details with the rental agent online, so the process was seamless. The new apartment was great. It was spacious, bright, and clean. My old place felt like a damp basement in comparison. "Sir, do you have any specific requirements for your roommates?" the agent asked. I raised an eyebrow. "I can make requests." The agent chuckled. "You can ask. Whether we find a match is a different story." "Fine," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "A girl under 20. Good body, good temper, and good looks. Ideally, she should cook, do laundry, and be obsessed with cleanliness. No bad habits." The agent froze. He stared at me for a second, then slowly tucked his notebook and pen away. "Why aren't you writing that down?" I asked, curious. "Brother, I'm an agent, not Aladdin's lamp," he sighed. "Those requirements are ridiculous. I suggest you take the subway to the Baotong Temple and ask the gods for a miracle." I burst out laughing. I was just messing with him. I didn't actually care who I lived with as long as we didn't get in each other's way. Even if my roommate was a shut-in who lived on fried chicken and played Genshin Impact all day, I wouldn't mind. I tossed my bags into my room and headed out to explore the neighborhood and grab some lunch. After a good meal, I crashed on my new bed and slept until 2 in the afternoon. I splashed some cold water on my face to wake up and started unpacking. I didn't have much, just some seasonal clothes, my computer, and basic toiletries. By the time I had the PC set up, it was past 3. My stream traffic had been great yesterday, and I gained a lot of new fans. I had promised to stream this afternoon, and I wasn't about to stand them up. First impressions were everything. I didn't want to be known as the streamer who was lazy or late. If I started slacking now, the old fans would think I was getting arrogant before I even made it big. I fired up the streaming software. Within seconds, dozens of people flooded the chat. "Why so late today? You said you'd be on after lunch," someone demanded. I opened the game and adjusted my mic. I was moving houses. Took a bit longer than expected. "I'm here now, aren't I?" "Fine, we'll forgive you today. Just don't be late tomorrow." "I probably will be," I admitted honestly. "I need to adjust to the new place. I'm pulling an all-nighter tonight, so tomorrow's stream starts whenever I wake up." The chat filled with 666 and hardcore. I logged out of my account and hopped back onto Zheng Shueling's account. As the peak tournament rating climbed higher, the points earned per win started to drop. I had gained nearly 300 points yesterday, but I knew I wouldn't hit that same growth today. Still, reaching 2,000 points by tomorrow seemed doable. With my system, hitting the top of the leaderboard within 5 days shouldn't be hard. To be honest, the top spot was worth way more than the 10,000 I was being paid. If I wasn't so broke, I would have doubled the price for this job. I entered the queue. It didn't take long to find a match. During the band pick phase, I hovered over Luna immediately to show my intent. My teammates saw my stats and let me have the jungle. They spent their bans on Dongwang Tai. He was a harder counter to Luna than Zhang Liang because his ultimate couldn't be interrupted. Plus, if a teammate accidentally attacked Dongwang while he had you suppressed, you'd just kill yourself. "Jungle bro, the enemy jungler is Bei Mu," a comment flashed across my screen. "Be careful." "For real? Is it actually him?" another asked. "Bei Mu? The guy called the ceiling of all Luna players. I just came from his stream. He's on a Smurf account. It's definitely him." The mood in the chat shifted instantly. The streamer is in trouble. Nobody knows Luna better than Beimu. The viewers didn't have much faith in me. Beimu was the man who had claimed the #1 spot in the country using Luna. His mastery of the hero was legendary. But with my system active, I didn't feel inferior at all. A small smirk played on my lips. He's held that ceiling title for long enough, I said quietly. It's time for a change. The chat exploded. So arrogant. You don't just take a title like that. You have to earn it. If you can hit rank 1 with Luna, then the title is yours. But stealing it from Beimu? Good luck. Even Wei Liang couldn't take that title from him. And his Luna is insane. They weren't wrong. The game was more popular than ever, and top-tier players were everywhere. There were dozens of national-class Lunas, but only one was recognized as the ceiling. It was the same as how everyone accepted Jia Suo as the ultimate Yuangu player. If I want something, it's going to be mine, I said, my voice dripping with confidence. I don't care who stands in my way. Get a national rank first, then talk, someone joked. You had a win streak yesterday, but this is different. If you actually hit rank 1 on a win streak, I'll call you daddy. I just smiled and stayed silent. The game was loading. It was time to show them who the new king was. Showing my strength was the only way to shut them up. On the other side of the screen, in his Husha streaming room, Beimu was having a rough afternoon. He had tried to push his rank on his main account, but hit a 5-game losing streak. He had switched to a Smuff account just to crush some fish and get his confidence back. When he saw me instant lock Luna as the first pick, he froze. In high-level play, almost nobody dared to first pick Luna unless they were Beimu himself. She was too weak in the early game and too easy to counter. My own teammates were already losing their minds. Are you insane? One of them yelled. I gave you the jungle role, and you first pick Luna? You've lost it. They didn't understand. Even though we had banned Dongwang Tai, the enemy could still pick Zhang Liang, Zhong Kuei, or Jin Chan to ruin my life. First picking her was objectively a bad move. The enemy jungler is Beimu, I explained calmly in the chat. If I didn't take Luna, he would have. My teammates were stunned. So what? You know it's him, and you still challenged him? He's the ceiling of Luna players. You're just embarrassing yourself. You better have a national rank badge, another added, or I'm going to flame you for the rest of the night. They were on the verge of a breakdown. If I didn't show them something impressive, they were going to throw the game before it even started. I didn't have a national badge for Luna. This account, which belonged to Lin Shuiyao, only had a badge for Yao. I don't have a badge, I admitted. Then why the hell are you talking? A teammate snapped. I'm throwing. This game is a loss. Wait, I typed. I shared my hero stats. Luna, 17 matches. Win rate, 100%. Gold medals, 17. The chat went dead silent. A 100% win rate over 17 games with every single one being a gold medal performance was unheard of. Even a cheater would struggle to keep those stats. Holy, a 100% win rate. My bad, big bro. I didn't realize we had a god-tier booster on the team. The atmosphere shifted instantly. My teammates immediately locked in their best, highest power heroes. They wanted the win. They wanted to be carried. I watched them scramble. At the 1800-point mark, players were obsessed with their hero power scores. If a draft looked bad, they'd pick a hero they didn't care about just to protect their main's points. But the moment they saw a pro carrying them, they went all in. I sighed. I missed the old days when gaming was just about the fun of the fight. Now it was a job. I could feel my passion fading. I used to play until the sun came up, but now, 3 hours of gaming left me drained. People change, I guess. Across the loading screen, Beimu's expression was grim. So, you want to steal my signature hero? Fine. I'll give you a lesson you won't forget. He locked in Jing. With her mirror clones, she could ignore the jungle's early game protection. She was the perfect hero for invading. His teammate followed up with Zhang Liang to lock me down. Beimu's chat was moving too fast to read. Invade her, he asked his viewers. The screen flooded with 1S. They wanted blood. They wanted to see him humiliate the person who dared to take his hero. I really don't want to invade against a Zhong Kuei, Beimu muttered, looking at our support. But since you guys want it, I'll risk it. He signaled his team to invade my blue buff. His teammates were hesitant, knowing our Zhong Kuei could hook the buff away and waste their time, but they followed his lead anyway. Welcome to Honor of Kings. The game began. I navigated Luna toward my blue zone, but I didn't go into the bush. Instead, I hovered near the inner tower of the mid lane. Luna, you're being too paranoid, Mahjong Kuei said over the mic. I'm standing right here. They won't dare come for the blue. He was proud of his hook. He thought his presence alone was a deterrent. Just be careful, I replied. Go check the left side. If Jing tries to steal my red, stall him as long as you can. Trust me, he said. He moved to follow my orders. He knew that if we wanted to win against a legend like Bei Mu, he had to listen to me. Our draft is better. We win this easily, my teammate said. I felt the same way. All we needed was for Zhang Liang to lock down Luna in team fights, and the game would be over. But across the map, Bei Mu wasn't listening to his teammates' warnings. He had made a promise to his viewers. He was going to invade my jungle no matter what. Zhang Liang had no choice but to follow him, though he was nervous. How are we even going to pull this off, he asked. Bei Mu's plan was simple but brilliant. When Zhong Kuei throws his hook to reset the buff, you just jump in and block it for the blue. Use your body. What about me? Zhang Liang stammered. I'll die. You have flash, Bei Mu countered. Besides, Zhong Kuei and Zhou Yu have 0 damage early game. If you're lucky, you won't even need to flash. It clicked for Zhang Liang. He was amazed. This was why Bei Mu was considered the pinnacle of Luna players. His tactical mind was on another level. Most people see a Zhong Kuei and give up on invading immediately. Bei Mu saw a way to use the enemy's strength against them. The two of them marched toward my blue buff, unaware that I was already watching them from the shadows. He actually dared to come, my Zhong Kuei muttered, spotting Jing and Zhang Liang on the map. I told you, I said calmly. Don't be surprised. Just get back here and defend. I'm on my way, he replied. Let's see how he likes being hooked. I told him not to worry about helping me clear. Instead, I sent him to help Zhou Yu clear the mid lane wave so they could rotate faster. On the other side, Zhang Liang stepped into the bush near my blue buff. It was empty. She's not here, Zhang Liang reported. This is perfect. I don't even have to fight her for the smite. Because of the jungle protection mechanics, Bei Mu's Jing wouldn't do much damage this early. If I wasn't there to contest, it was a guaranteed steal. But I was there. I was tucked away in a tiny bush near the mid lane tower, watching every move. Bei Mu started the buff. Zhang Liang helped, dropping his circles to drain the golem's health. The blue buff's HP was dropping fast. Mahjong Kuei was getting anxious. Now? Should I hook now? If I wait, he'll smite it. Wait for my signal, I said. I want to fight him for the smite. You're crazy, Zhong Kuei yelled. Nobody outsmites Bei Mu. Just wait for Zhou Yu, I commanded. Zhou Yu cleared his wave quickly, leaving the enemy's fire dancer behind. He rushed over to the pit. Spread the fire, I told him. Zhou Yu hesitated. Are you sure? If I burn it, the HP will drop even faster. It'll be impossible to time the smite. I like finding opportunity in the middle of chaos, I replied. Do it. Zhou Yu sighed and pushed his flames into the pit. The fire spread, licking at the feet of Bei Mu's Jing. Bei Mu actually laughed. Thanks for the help, Zhou Yu. This makes it even faster. The blue buff hit 2000 HP. Hook now, I shouted. Block it, Bei Mu yelled at the same time. Zhong Kuei threw the chain. At that exact microsecond, Zhang Liang stepped behind the blue buff. The hook clanked against his chest, pulling the support instead of the golem. We're done for, Zhong Kuei groaned. I missed. Luna, it's all on you now. Bei Mu's smirk widened. Everything was going exactly to plan. Then his smile froze. I stepped out of the bush, my red robes fluttering. I didn't look at the players. I stared only at that health bar. 1,700 HP. Bei Mu lunged forward with his first skill, trying to burst the last bit of health. But between Zhou Yu's fire and Zhang Liang's spells, the health was dropping in chunks, not smooth lines. It dipped below 1,500. Bei Mu reached for his smite button, but I was faster. A bolt of lightning crashed down. The blue buff shattered, and a glowing blue ring swirled around my feet. I had stolen it right from under his nose. What? How was she in that bush? Bei Mu screamed. He was losing his cool. His execution had been flawless, but he hadn't accounted for my positioning or my timing. The hunter had become the prey. I had the blue buff. Now it was my turn. Zhang Liang didn't hesitate. He burned his flash immediately to get over the wall and away from my teammates. Zhang Liang's gone, Zhou Yu called out. We don't have the damage to chase him. That's fine, I said, my eyes locked on Jing. He wasn't the target anyway. You can't kill Jing, Zhong Kuei argued. Her dash is almost back up. We already won the trade. Just let her go. They wanted me to play it safe. They thought I was being greedy. In high-level play, overstaying is how you throw leads. I ignored them. She's not getting away, I said. Unless you hit level 2 and magically learn your ultimate, you'll never catch her, Zhong Kuei scoffed. You're wasting time. I felt a smirk tug at the corner of my mouth. You guys didn't notice? I asked. Look at the map. Guan Yu is already behind her. Zhou Yu and Zhong Kuei shifted their eyes to the mini-map. Their jaws dropped. I kept my eyes glued to the mini-map. My teammates hadn't noticed yet, but Guan Yu was already galloping down the river. With his crowd control and burst damage, this was no longer a failed invasion. It was a death trap for the enemy jungler. On the other side of the wall, Bei Mu was frantically trying to retreat. He was the top-ranked jungler in the country, but he was about to get some very bad news. His teammate playing Charlotte chimed in over the voice comms, warning him that Guan Yu had disappeared from the top lane. Bei Mu cursed under his breath. He was furious. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He snapped. It was too late. He tried to run, but a shadow loomed over him. Guan Yu burst from the fog of war and popped his sprint immediately. My heart raced. A Guan Yu in full gallop is fast, but with sprint active, he moves like a freight train. He easily cut off Jing's path. His horse, the legendary Red Hare, reared up as Guan Yu swung his massive blade in a wide arc. The blow sent Jing flying backward, right back into my jungle territory. Every inch of safety Bei Mu had gained was wiped out in a single hit. Guan Yu wasn't giving him an inch. He slammed his second skill, another burst of speed, and circled around like a shark. With a well-timed basic attack, he used the horse's momentum to shove Jing even deeper into the pit. There was no escape now. Unless Jing's dash suddenly tripled in length, she was a dead woman. Under the combined assault of Guan Yu and Mai Luna, her health bar evaporated until only a sliver remained. Then, something strange happened. We both stopped attacking. I stood there, frozen for a second. Hey man, you used your sprint to get here. I said over the mic, the kill is yours. Guan Yu didn't hesitate. He turned his horse around and started walking away. No way. You take it. We're counting on you to carry us this game. He knew his limits. He knew that against a Zhang Liang, his Guan Yu would struggle to stay in gallop mode. He wanted me to have the gold and the momentum to face off against Bei Mu. He didn't just want to kill, he wanted to win. I didn't waste any more time. I fired off a wave of moonlight, and the screen flashed. First blood. Good luck, brother. Guan Yu chuckled as the announcement echoed through the rift. I gave you the first kill. Don't let us down. I smiled. I knew exactly what was at stake. Beating someone of Bei Mu's caliber wasn't something you did with teamwork alone. You had to outplay him individually. I took a quick glance at my stream chat. It was exploding. People couldn't believe it. Bei Mu, the king of the jungle, had just been taken down by an unknown streamer. Am I dreaming? One comment read. Did he really just kill Bei Mu? I just kicked my cousin to see if I was awake. Another joked. He's screaming, so this is definitely real. This guy is insane. While the fans were losing their minds, Bei Mu was sitting in front of his screen in stunned silence. He couldn't wrap his head around it. His plan had been perfect, his execution flawless. He didn't realize he had been baited into a trap from the very beginning. Brother Bei Mu, we lost big time on that play, Zhang Liang whispered. They had lost a kill, a flash, and a massive amount of farming time. It was a disaster. My bad, Bei Mu admitted. He wasn't arrogant. He knew when he'd been outplayed. I didn't expect Luna to be hiding in that specific bush. Just play safe. Once you hit level 4, we can start picking people off. But his chat wasn't being as kind. How did you lose the smite battle to a Luna? They demanded. If he had secured that blue buff, he could have dashed away easily. Bei Mu stared at the screen, racking his brain. Why was his hand slower? He had been focused. He had timed it. Why did the buff go to me? Back on my stream, my viewers were asking the same thing. If Jing got that buff, she would have been gone, they noted. How did you win that? I sighed and decided to let them in on the secret. It's simple, really. My finger never left the smite button. I didn't do anything else. The chat was confused. No extra operations? What did that mean? See, most high-level players try to combo their skills with smite to increase the execute threshold. A Jing will use her mirror image and smite at the same time to burst the last 2,000 health. But if you aren't frame perfect, you're just setting the kill up for someone else. Are you saying Bei Mu is slow? Someone asked, sounding offended. He's the best Luna and Jing in the country. I'm not saying he's slow, I explained as I cleared my camps. I'm saying he did too much. There was fire on the ground from Zhou Yu and a golden circle from Zhang Liang. The health wasn't dropping steadily, it was jumping. He expected to smite at 1800 health, but by the time he pressed his combo, the health had already flickered past that. I didn't care about combos. I just watched the number. The viewers went quiet as they processed that. In the middle of all that chaos, I had stayed calmer than a pro. When things get messy, I added, you can't follow the textbook. You have to break the rules. My teammate playing Zhou Yu finally spoke up. So that's why you told me to throw my fire right on top of the buff? To mess with his timing. I nodded. Exactly. I wanted to make the situation as chaotic as possible. In a mess like that, the person who flinches first loses. My only goal was that buff. My finger was already there. The logic was simple. Once the blue buff hit the execute threshold, I pressed smite immediately. Bei Mu couldn't do that. His mind was too busy trying to time a complex skill combo with his smite, and he miscalculated the damage. Against me, that meant he was destined to lose the smite war. I explained this in detail to my viewers. Even those who didn't play at a high level could understand now. It wasn't luck, it was pure mechanical precision. After clearing the rest of my blue side camps, I started moving toward the river crab in the mid lane. Since Bei Mu had been killed during his level 1 invade, he was in no position to contest it. He had to give it up. With my teammate Lin Yuan playing Zhou Yu and securing lane priority, I took the crab without breaking a sweat. I didn't even need to use smite. The snowball was starting to roll. Zhong Kuei, I said, calling out to my support. Go scout their red and blue zones. See where Bei Mu starts his rotation after he respawns. If you catch him, throw a hook and mess with his head. I maneuvered my Luna toward my own red buff while giving orders. The Zhong Kuei player didn't complain. He headed straight for the enemy jungle. Most Zhong Kuei players live for this. Nothing makes them happier than tilting an enemy jungler by resetting their camps. If he could make Bei Mu tilt, that was a win for us. A moment later, Zhong Kuei reached the enemy blue pit. The buff was standing there, untouched. He reported back immediately. The blue is still there, I noted. That means Bei Mu started at his red after respawning. In that case, get ready to invade with me. Wait, what? Both Zhong Kuei and Zhou Yu asked at the same time. I said, come with me to invade, I repeated. Why the shock? The two of them were stunned. Zhou Yu hesitated for a second. A Luna invading a Jing's jungle? Are you serious? What? You scared? I laughed. Of course I'm scared. That's Bei Mu on the other side. So what if it's Bei Mu? I countered. We just killed him, didn't we? If you look at your opponents like they're gods, you'll never become a pro. Do you want to be a top-tier player or not? That struck a nerve with Zhou Yu. Fine. I want to be a pro too. Let's do it. How are we playing this? I'm finishing my red buff now, I said calmly. Don't rush. Zhong Kuei, just camp the blue pit. The moment he shows up, hook the buff to reset it. Just be a nuisance. Zhong Kuei nodded. On it. Before I even finished my red buff, Bei Mu's Jing appeared in his blue zone. The red ring under his feet confirmed he had finished his red side first. When he saw Zhong Kuei hovering there, swinging that hook, he let out a visible sigh of frustration. His mid-lane teammates, playing Shangwan Wanner and Zhang Liang, were being pinned down by our Zhou Yu. No one was coming to block the hook for him. Bei Mu started attacking the blue buff with basic attacks, saving his skills. When the buff's health dropped to half, Zhong Kuei let the hook fly. It didn't even matter if Bei Mu blocked it or not. The buff was dragged out of its pit, entered its reset state, and started walking back while rapidly regenerating health. Bei Mu stood there, probably wishing he had banned Zhong Kuei. That hero is pure psychological torture. His teammates, Wanner and Zhang Liang, finally cleared their wave and rushed over. We're here to help, they called out. Bei Mu nodded grimly. Be careful. I don't think they're just here to poke. Zhang Liang brushed it off. Brother Bei Mu, you're overthinking it. There's no way a Luna dares to actually invade a Jing this early. Bei Mu didn't argue, but he had a bad feeling. He was behind, and he knew I was the type to capitalize on that. Back in my jungle, I finished my red buff and hit level 4. I unlocked my ultimate, Crescent Flash. I immediately headed toward his blue zone. I'd invaded the best tiger players in the country. A Jing wasn't going to stop me. I didn't walk straight in. I played with their vision, hiding in the river brush. If I showed myself too early, they'd play defensively. I needed them to drop their guard. It worked. When Zhong Kuei threw another hook, Zhang Liang stepped up to block it. He got pulled from the pit toward the river. He didn't care. He figured it was 3 against 2 since I wasn't visible. Even at half health, he felt safe. He thought his team could avenge him if anything happened. While those thoughts were still crossing his mind, a red crescent wave erupted from the brush. Crap, Luna is actually here, Zhang Liang yelled, but it was too late. I turned into a blur of crimson moonlight. I dashed onto Zhang Liang with my ultimate, landed a reinforced basic attack to mark him again, and then immediately flew past him toward Bei Mu and the blue buff. He's coming for me, Bei Mu realized, his head throbbing. He was only level 3. He didn't have his ultimate yet. A level 3 Jing facing a level 4 Luna with a fresh blue buff is a nightmare scenario, even on home turf. I hit him with a basic attack, followed by my second skill, pulling him in and shielding myself, then dashed through him again. Because of the early game jungle protection, my damage wasn't lethal yet, but Bei Mu knew it was only a matter of time. His mind raced. His only hope was to smite the blue buff, hit level 4, and turn the fight around. His eyes sharpened like a wolf locking onto its prey. He waited for the perfect moment to strike. Going for another smite battle? I muttered, watching the health bar. I'll make sure you lose this one too. I didn't stop my combo. If anything, my fingers moved faster. In the blink of an eye, the blue buff's health plummeted into the execute range. Before Bei Mu could even react, the buff shattered into pieces. A blue aura swirled around my body. Damn it, Bei Mu cursed. I was slow again. He looked like he'd just swallowed a fly. Twice now, he had lost the most critical smite battles of the game. Without that blue buff, he stayed at level 3. A level 3 Jing against a level 4 Luna is nothing more than a punching bag. He tried to dump his skills on me, but he had nothing left. I had the buff, I had the level advantage, and now, I had his life in my sights. I combined my high-speed lunar mechanics with perfect execution. My ultimate moved like it was on a permanent cooldown, flashing across the screen without pause. Within seconds, Bei Mu's Jing collapsed again under the hem of Luna's red dress. On the other side of the map, Zhang Liang was caught without his flash. Zhong Kuei and Zhou Yu swarmed him, leaving him no room to breathe. Zhong Kuei wasn't finished, though. Feeling lucky, he tossed out a hook, perfectly predicting Buji Huo Wu's positioning. I didn't waste a heartbeat. I dove in to follow up the damage while Zhou Yu laid down a path of fire to cut off any escape. Buji Huo Wu burned her flash, but it was useless. Between Zhong Kuei and Zhou Yu's coordinated pressure, I secured the kill. That single jungle invade handed me 2 more kills. My momentum was officially skyrocketing. Bro, are you some kind of god-tier booster? Zhou Yu asked, sounding genuinely stunned. Beating Bei Mu like this? Even pro players can't pull that off. It had been less than 2 minutes, and I had already killed Bei Mu twice. The stats were staggering. Even more impressive was the fact that I had stolen his blue buff both times. If the first time was lucky because of the jungle protection mechanics, the second time was pure skill. That fight happened on his turf, where I was the one hindered by the mechanics. I laughed off the praise. Yeah, I'm just that good. Deep down, I knew the truth. I told myself they should really be jealous of my system. Without it, I'd just be another average player in this lobby. While my team was basically celebrating a victory already, Bei Mu's side was deathly silent. For a high-skilled jungle carry like Jing, dying twice in the first 2 minutes is a death sentence. Bei Mu bit his lip, his eyes showing a mix of exhaustion and confusion. He had hopped on this Smuff account to relax and stomp some fish, but now he felt like the fish was the one doing the stomping. It was humiliating. He was playing Jing, and I was playing Luna. If the roles were reversed, he could have excused it. Luna usually struggles against Jing early on. But now, I was effectively standing on his head. He couldn't even find an excuse to tell his fans. Predictably, his stream chat was exploding with hate. "How is this guy so bad?" one comment read. "Getting crushed by a Luna as Jing? Go find a real job." Another chimed in. "Is this really the ceiling Luna? Maybe he can only play one hero." His loyal fans wanted to defend him, but with a 0-2-0 scoreline, they didn't have a leg to stand on. In the world of junglers, early game Luna is widely considered the weakest link. Seeing me dominate Bei Mu like this was like watching a physics professor lose a dunk contest to a guy in a wheelchair. It was surreal. Bei Mu went quiet, trying to stabilize his mental state and look for a comeback. Meanwhile, my own stream was gaining followers by the second. People who thought I was bragging about the ceiling Luna title were now believers. Killing Bei Mu twice in 2 minutes? No one would have believed it if they hadn't seen it. "Bei Mu, what do we do?" Zhang Liang asked cautiously. He knew his leader was fuming. Early on, their team comp was supposed to be stronger, yet we held all the cards. Bei Mu sighed. "Just play slow. The crystal hasn't exploded yet. We still have a chance." But I wasn't about to give them a chance. I wanted this win fast. I linked up with Zhong Kuei and started roaming like a group of bandits. Zhong Kuei was a top 10 ranked player with his hero, and his hook accuracy was lethal. Combined with my burst damage, if he landed a hook, it was an instant death sentence. We pushed them back further and further. Their manga was the biggest target. No mobility, no escape skills, just a walking pile of gold. Bei Mu watched the map, his expression grim. Our wave clear, and rotations were faster. The longer the game went, the slimmer their chances became. "I have to do something," Bei Mu muttered. "Otherwise, we're just frogs being boiled alive. Brothers, we need to gank this Luna. If we don't shut her down, it's over." The response was lukewarm. "Bro, her mechanics are insane. You can't just catch her." "If we aren't going to try, we might as well forfeit," Bei Mu countered. The team went silent again. Zhang Liang was the first to break it. "Fine. If we don't gamble, we die anyway. Count me in." Bei Mu smiled. "I need you. Your ultimate is the only way. Anyone else?" One by one, they agreed. They'd rather go down fighting than do nothing at all. They stopped caring about the lanes and focused entirely on one goal, killing me. Even if they lost the game, they wanted the satisfaction of shutting me down once. Bei Mu glanced at the minimap. My teammates were visible in the side lanes. I was the only one in the mid lane, clearing a wave. "Now's the time," Bei Mu whispered. Zhang Liang popped his support active, the sprint, and charged ahead. With his speed boots, he entered my vision like a heat-seeking missile. "Whoa, what's the grudge?" I muttered, seeing them all rushing me. I didn't overthink it. I used my ultimate to dash backward, creating distance. Bei Mu saw me retreat and felt a surge of confidence. "He's panicked. Zhang Liang, don't let him go. Our comeback starts here." "Don't worry," Zhang Liang shouted. "If he escapes this, I'll wash my hair while standing on my head." He burned his flash to close the gap and slammed his ultimate down. I was suppressed, locked in place for 2.2 seconds, with a follow-up stun coming right after. I was a sitting duck. Even though Zhang Liang was a bit separated from his team, the 3 seconds of suppression he provided was more than enough time for the rest of them to arrive. The enemy team swarmed me instantly. My Shiranui tumbled forward, unleashing her full combo. Mengya opened fire with his ultimate, and Charlotte used her flash to close the distance, ready to execute her finishing move. In the blink of an eye, a mountain of skills rained down on my Luna. I felt my mouth twitch. These guys were dead set on killing me. They didn't care about the game anymore. They just wanted me dead. I was stuck, but I wasn't going to just sit there and die. While suppressed, I opened the shop. My viewers saw my equipment slots turn empty in a flash. My hands moved faster than most people could think. I sold everything I owned. "It's happening. The bankruptcy playstyle," someone in the chat screamed. I had been farming like a monster, so even after selling my gear, I had over 7,000 gold in the bank. As the 5 of them closed in, I didn't hesitate. I bought a resurrection armor. The 3 seconds of crowd control felt like an eternity. I didn't move an inch before my health bar hit 0. I collapsed. But with the resurrection armor, I had a second life. Bei Mu let out a cold snort. "So what if your hands are fast? We killed you once. We can kill you again. He was a top-tier Luna player himself, so he knew my cooldowns by heart. He knew my ultimate was still on cooldown. Even if I stood back up, I was a dead man walking. As the animation finished and I rose from the ground, the enemy team prepared their final blow. But before their attacks could land, my half-health Luna turned into a statue of solid gold. I had sold the spent resurrection armor and bought a golden body in a split second. Their spells passed right through me. Beimu was losing his mind. What is the point of stalling? Just let us kill you. Brother Beimu, something's wrong, one of his teammates whispered. What now? The enemy team. They're gone from the map. They're surrounding us. Beimu looked at the mini-map and cursed. We had fallen into a trap. What do we do? Run, Zhang Liang asked, sensing the panic in Beimu's voice. Beimu gritted his teeth. We're going to lose anyway. Let's at least kill this Luna and vent some frustration. They waited for my golden body to expire. But the moment the gold faded, 2 red flashes streaked across the screen. I was suddenly several meters away, safe and sound. What the hell? Did he teleport? The chat exploded. If they had watched in slow motion, they would have seen that in that tiny window, I used my second skill and 2 segments of my ultimate. The delay from the resurrection armor and the golden body was just long enough for my ultimate to come back online. I was out. I smiled. My job was done. I only had a golden body in my inventory now, but it didn't matter. My teammates had arrived. Beimu's team had used every single one of their skills trying to kill me. They had nothing left. They were sitting ducks. My teammate Guan Yu charged in from behind, using his ultimate to shove all 5 of them against the wall. Marco Polo followed up immediately, spinning into the crowd with his ultimate and a stun. Zhou Yu spread his fire across the floor, and Zhong Kuei walked right into the center of the mess to start his ultimate. It was a perfect chain of crowd control. Beimu and his team couldn't even fight back. They were deleted in seconds. An ace. Beimu's face looked like he had swallowed a brick. He couldn't believe it. 5 people went for 1 Luna, and not only did she escape, but they all died for it. He wanted to kill me to feel better about the loss, but failing made him feel 10 times worse. His teammates didn't want to suffer anymore. They threw up the surrender vote. Beimu didn't struggle. He hit yes. The screen panned to their crystal as it shattered into pieces. The victory screen popped up. My Luna finished with a score of 904, a clean MVP with 40% of the team's total damage. I can't believe it. He actually beat Beimu. A Luna beating Beimu's Jing? This guy is a god. The fans were losing their minds. Beimu was a legend, a ceiling player, while I was just a small-time streamer who had recently gained a bit of traction. The gap between us was supposed to be massive. On the other side of the screen, Beimu's spirit was broken. He sat with his head in his hands, silent for a long time. When he finally looked up, he looked exhausted. Brothers, I think I'm going to end the stream here, he muttered. I'm tired. He had only been live for an hour. His fans weren't having it. Is his mental state that fragile? To be fair, he went to stomp some fish and got fried instead. Hey Beimu, the enemy Luna is a streamer too. You should go check his room. Beimu caught that last comment. A streamer? He decided to take a look. When he entered my room and saw I wasn't signed to a platform yet, he was shocked. My Luna was easily pro level. Someone like me should have had a contract months ago. Plus, I had 8,000 people watching me, more than most mid-sized streamers. Welcome, big brother Beimu, I said, using the fanciest words I could remember from high school. I hadn't studied much because of gaming, so I was really racking my brain to be polite. Your smite timing is insane, Beimu said in the chat. I lost both objectives to you. It was all right, I replied. I used to play blue-collar junglers. The damage might not be high, but the smite timing has to be perfect. I guess I just kept the habit. I wasn't about to tell him about my system, but the part about my history was true. My old fans knew I started out playing utility junglers. I see, Beimu nodded. It made sense to him now. Utility players always had the steadiest hands. Sorry about the loss, brother Beimu. I took some of your points. It's fine, Beimu said, trying to act cool. It was just a smurf account anyway. A loss is a loss. But his fans didn't let him off that easy. There he goes again, they joked, pretending he's not crying inside. I looked at the chat and had to suppress a laugh. My viewers were absolutely roasting Beimu. Just a minute ago, he looked like he wanted to cry. and now he was trying to act all cool and unbothered. "I'm too embarrassed to even call you out," one fan wrote. "Look at him pretending to be open-minded now. Where was this energy earlier?" The greatest pain in the world is having your soul crushed and having to smile through it. I felt a bit bad. Nobody expected Aluna to actually shut down his Dongfang Jing like that. "Sorry about that, Brother Beimu," I said into the mic. "If I were a signed streamer, I'd send you a gift to apologize. But right now, I'm broke. I'm just living off the spare change from my fans." Beimu nodded. He had been through the same struggle when he started, so he understood the grind. To my surprise, he sent over a magic book gift to encourage me. "With your skill and the way you handle a crowd, you don't look like an unsigned rookie," Beimu said. "I got lucky," I admitted. "I ran into Ling Air and Han Han yesterday. They brought a lot of eyes to my channel." Beimu went quiet for a second, then asked, "Do you want me to mention you to my manager?" My heart skipped a beat. Beimu was a top-tier streamer. For most small streamers, a manager might take weeks to reply, if they replied at all. But for someone like Beimu, he was a cash cow. If he spoke up, I'd probably have a contract in my inbox by tonight. But I hesitated. "Actually, let's hold off on that. I prefer to be passive." Beimu didn't seem surprised. He could probably sense my ambition. If he introduced me, I'd get a contract, but the terms wouldn't be great. If the managers came crawling to me because of my performance, I'd have the leverage to negotiate a better salary. At the end of the day, I was doing this for the money. "Fair enough," Beimu replied. "Let's add each other. If you ever need help, just let me know." "Definitely. I won't be polite when the time comes." After a bit more small talk, I got back to the grind. Beimu didn't leave the room, though. His mental state was already fried, so he decided to just watch me play and try to learn a few things. Even as a god-tier Luna player, he never stopped studying the competition. But as he watched me play 3 consecutive matches, his expression changed. His eyes widened. He looked stunned, then lost, then completely dazed. We were both playing Luna, but I was doing things he hadn't even considered. My pathing, my timing, my mechanical execution, it was flawless. "When did a Luna this good appear?" he muttered to his own stream. "Why have I never heard of this guy?" After a while, he couldn't take it anymore. He left my stream, looking like he'd seen a ghost. He tried to hop on his main account to practice, but he was so tilted he lost 3 games in a row. Eventually, he just gave up and went out to get a drink to drown his sorrows. Meanwhile, I was on fire. With the system backing me up, winning felt as easy as breathing. I went on a massive winning streak, securing MVP in every single game with ratings never dropping below 15.0. By the time the game forced me to log off for being online too long, I had hit a peak score of 1995. I was satisfied. I had 5 days left to finish this boosting job. At this rate, hitting 2400 was a guarantee. I only needed to gain about 100 points a day. I checked my stats. My concurrent viewers were holding steady at 5,000, and my follower count was exploding. I was finally becoming someone in this scene. "All right, guys, I'm locked out for the day," I said, waving at the screen even though I didn't have a camera on. "I'll be back tomorrow afternoon." I shut down the stream and sank into my chair, lighting a cigarette and exhaling a thick cloud of smoke. I pulled back the curtains. It was pitch black outside, the city lights drowning out the stars. It was a bit chilly, so I grabbed a jacket and headed out to a roadside stall. I ordered some skewers and cold noodles, finally relaxing. As long as I kept working, life was going to get a lot better. At the same time, in the Husha office building in Shanghai, it was 8 p.m. Zhou Ting was supposed to be off work, but the office was still buzzing. Employees were rushing around with data reports, handing them off to her. Zhou Ting was the general manager in charge of signing new talent. She was tall, sharp, and looked stunning in her black professional suit, but right now, she just looked annoyed. She tossed a file onto her desk and rubbed her temples. "Everyone waits until the end of the month to scramble for their quotas," she complained, glancing at her watch. Her job was to filter through the candidates her scouts found. The scouts were desperate to hit their monthly targets to avoid pay cuts, but Zhou Ting didn't care about numbers. She cared about finding the next big star. And so far, she hadn't seen anything that impressed her. If those scouts didn't hit their recruitment quotas, they faced pay cuts or even the axe. At the start of the month, They were the laziest people on earth. Sometimes days would go by without a single report landing on Zhou Ting's desk. But once the end of the month hit, they finally felt the fire under their seats. It was a scramble, and unfortunately, it meant Zhou Ting had to suffer through overtime right along with them. Wait, this one looks good. Zhou Ting's eyes locked onto a specific file. She cleared away the surrounding paperwork to get a better look at her find. Yilan, 18 years old. A King of Glory streamer. She scanned the data. His room had a stable average of 5,000 viewers, occasionally peaking at over 8,000. The heat is this high already? Zhou Ting muttered, impressed. She leaned back, her black high heels swaying as she crossed her legs. In this industry, a stable room of 100 viewers was enough to meet the signing criteria. A room with 5,000 was unheard of for an unsigned talent. Without a contract, the platform's algorithm only gave you a tiny, pathetic amount of exposure. For Yilan to pull these numbers on his own was staggering. Among the sea of new streamers, he was the undisputed top prospect. We need to sign him, she decided, pulling his file to the side. I'll call him tomorrow to test the waters and see what his salary expectations are. While Zhou Ting was planning his future, the man himself was currently stumbling home. I had finished my meat and drinks, and after one last cigarette, I made my way back, feeling the world tilt slightly. I wasn't bad at holding my liquor, but I'd definitely overdone it tonight. My steps were heavy and uneven. When I pushed open the door to my apartment, I froze. There were cardboard boxes stacked in the living room, all clustered near the other bedroom. Oh, I had a new roommate. I looked down and saw a pair of small, neat canvas flats sitting by the shoe rack. I sighed. I guess I couldn't walk around half-naked anymore. No more coming out of the shower without a towel, and I'd have to be careful about my habits. Sharing a place with a girl was always going to be a bit restrictive. I headed to my room, the alcohol finally catching up to me. I hit the bed and fell into a deep sleep instantly. In the middle of the night, my bladder woke me up. That's the problem with drinking too much beer. It always comes back to haunt you at 3 a.m. I was so groggy I could barely keep my eyes open as I stumbled toward the bathroom. I pushed the door open. Before I could even reach for the light switch, a piercing scream sliced through the dark and shattered my eardrums. The sleepiness, the drunkenness, and even the urge to pee vanished in a heartbeat. I slammed the door shut, my heart hammering against my ribs. Holy damn, I hissed, leaning against the wall. Why didn't you turn on the light? You scared the life out of me. I pulled out a cigarette with trembling hands and lit it. My heart was still racing. That was way too close. Don't you know how to knock? A soft, feminine voice called out from behind the door. It sounded sweet, a bit timid, definitely the new roommate. I took a long drag of my smoke, trying to settle my nerves while holding back the pressure in my bladder. If you don't turn on the light, how am I supposed to know someone's in there? Besides, it's 3 a.m. Who goes to the bathroom in the dark at this hour? Then what are you doing here? She shot back, her voice gaining a bit of an edge. She had me there. I drank too much. Woke up needing to go. Oh, well, I'm in the same boat, I guess. You were drinking too? I asked, raising an eyebrow. No, she replied. I think the hot pot I had wasn't cooked right. My stomach has been killing me all night. I feel for you, I said, exhaling a cloud of smoke. There was a long pause. Then, her voice came through the door again, sounding worried. You didn't see anything, did you? My eyes were barely open, it was pitch black, and the lights were off, I said. What was there to see? That's good. I heard her sigh in relief. She seemed to want to break the awkwardness because she kept talking. So what do you do for a living? Gaming streamer. I'm a Chinese teacher. A teacher? Nice, I said. That's a respectable job. I heard her scoff. Respectable? It's a lot of work for very little pay, and there's no room to move up. Since I'm just an intern, the school wouldn't even give me a spot in the staff dorms. I really envy my older sister sometimes. She's a manager at a big listed company, making 6 figures a month. She even bought her own place in Shanghai. Not like me. I didn't say anything to that. People envying others was the oldest story in the book. After a moment of silence, she spoke up again. What's your name? Yilan. I'm Ning Kaikai. The conversation died there. A few minutes later, the door creaked open. I'm done. You can go in, Ning Kaikai said. She was looking down at her feet, fidgeting with her fingers. The moonlight filtered through the hallway window, giving me my first real look at her. She was wearing a white floral dress that reached her calves. She had a tiny, delicate face and skin as pale as snow. Her dark hair fell all the way to her waist, held back by a beige headband. She looked like some elegant daughter of a scholarly family from an old movie. But I knew better. In my experience, Chinese teachers were usually tigers in disguise. I thought about making a joke about the smell, but I figured I shouldn't offend her on day one. "I'll finish this cigarette first," I said, waving the half-burnt stick. Ning Kai looked up, her clear eyes peeking through her lashes as she took me in. I could tell she was judging me. Tall, decent-looking, that was probably her first impression. But as she watched the smoke curl around me, I saw her expression sour. As a teacher, she clearly didn't approve of guys who drank and smoked. Plus, I still had that post-grad youthfulness about me. I probably looked like a high schooler to her. "I'm going back to sleep then," she said, her face flushing red. "Get some rest. And next time, turn on the light so this doesn't happen again." "Right, will do." She hurried back to her room and shut the door. I couldn't help but smile. She was actually kind of cute. She was 24, 6 years older than me, but she didn't act like an adult at all. She was barely 5 feet tall and had such a soft personality. I wondered if her students just walked all over her. I finished my cigarette, put it out, and finally handled my business. By the time I crawled back into my warm bed, I was out like a light. When I woke up again, the sun was high in the sky. It was almost noon. Ning Kai had already left for work. The apartment was silent, leaving me as the only soul in the place. I wandered into the bathroom to wash up and found the vanity completely overtaken. Aside from the basic toothbrush and toothpaste, the counter was covered in bottles, jars, and tubes of skincare products. Some of the labels were covered in English words I couldn't even begin to translate. I didn't bother trying. Just as I finished getting ready, my food delivery arrived. I sat down to eat, pulled up a show to watch, and let out a satisfied breath. This was the life. But the peace didn't last long. My phone started buzzing with a call from Modu. I stared at the screen for a second. If this was a telemarketer or a scammer, I was going to hang up immediately. I swiped answer. "Hello? Am I speaking with Elon?" A professional, broadcast-quality voice asked. "I'm calling from the Husha streaming platform. We'd like to discuss a potential contract with you. Do you have a moment?" I raised an eyebrow. They were moving faster than I expected. A grin spread across my face that I couldn't even try to hide. "I have time. Go ahead." "Great. Based on our internal evaluation of your recent performance, we've decided to offer you a C-level contract. That includes a base salary of 5,000 yuan, a 50-50 split on gift revenue, and future opportunities for advertising fees." My smile vanished. My brow furrowed, then smoothed out into a look of pure disdain. I didn't say a word. I just hung up. I went right back to eating my noodles and watching TV like nothing had happened. A few seconds later, the phone rang again. I let it chime for a bit before picking up. "Did the signal cut out?" the recruiter asked quickly. The call dropped suddenly. "No," I said flatly. "Oh, was it a problem with your phone then? Or did you accidentally hit the end button?" I let out a dry, mocking laugh. "You want to guess if I did it on purpose or intentionally? Look, if those are the terms you're bringing to the table, let's not waste each other's time. I'm not interested." I could hear the girl on the other end take a sharp breath. "Wait, what if I upgrade you to a B-level contract? We can offer a base salary of 10,000 a month." I hung up again. Back at the Husha headquarters, the recruiter sighed and took off her headset. She looked at the woman standing behind her, Zhou Ting, and shook her head. Zhou Ting bit her lip, her expression shifting from surprise to a faint, simmering anger. She couldn't believe it. A 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school was playing hardball. He had hung up on an official platform representative twice without even trying to negotiate. "His appetite is bigger than I thought," Zhou Ting muttered. "Give me his contact info. I'll handle this personally." She didn't call me. Instead, she sent a friend request with a message. "Hello. I am Zhou Ting, a manager at Husha. I oversee the King of Glory section. I'll be handling your contract negotiations directly from now on." I looked at the notification. I decided to accept. Husha was the giant in the industry. If you wanted to make it as a gamer, they were the best platform, Period. But I wasn't about to be the tail of a phoenix when I could be the head of a chicken elsewhere. If they didn't offer me something that made my heart skip a beat, I was gone. The recruiter told me you rejected the B-level offer. Zhou Ting messaged immediately. Do you have specific concerns? I kept one hand on my chopsticks and typed with the other. No concerns. Just a lack of sincerity. You've misunderstood us, she replied. Offering a B-level contract right out of the gate is a huge sign of sincerity. I snorted. They tried to lowball me with a C-level contract first, and only bumped it up when I shut them down. That wasn't sincerity, that was testing my bottom line. If they wanted to play games, I'd show them what a real lion's mouth demand looked like. When I didn't reply, she sent another message. A B-level contract is the absolute limit based on your current popularity and gift revenue. Don't overrate yourself. Even on Husha, very few streamers get a B-level deal. You need to recognize your own strength and position if you want a long career. I leaned back, a cold smile playing on my lips. Was she threatening me now? Trying the hard sell because the soft one failed? It was almost funny. I might look like a naive student, but I had more real-world grit than she realized. If that's how you're going to talk to me, I typed, then the answer is still no. I hope you don't regret this, she shot back. I was just about to say the same to you. I deleted her contact and tossed my phone onto the desk. My appetite was gone. I sat there, thinking. 10,000 a month in base salary was actually decent. With gifts and ads, I'd be looking at 20,000 a month. To the old me, that was an astronomical sum. But I had a system now. My appetite wasn't about greed. It was about knowing what I was worth. If Husha wouldn't budge, I'd have to look at Kuaishou or Douyu. Those platforms were sliding downhill lately, but they still had traffic. Then a thought hit me. Zhou Ting said the contract was based on my current traffic and gifts. If I boosted those numbers through the roof, they'd have no choice but to offer the top-tier deal. I finished my food in 3 quick bites and messaged my client, Lin Shuiyao. We had added each other on the side to make coordinating the power leveling easier. Hey, I messaged her. I've run into a bit of a problem with the climb. She replied almost instantly. Is it getting too hard? It's okay. You've already gotten the rank so high. Even if you don't finish the final goal, I won't ask for the deposit back. She had been watching my match history every day. She knew how hard I was carrying. I felt a small warmth in my chest. It was rare to find a boss who was this rich and actually had a heart. I needed to use everything at my disposal. It's not that the climb is too hard. I typed back to Lin Shuiyao. I've just run into a bit of a situation. Tell me about it. If I can solve it, I will, she replied. I took a deep breath. Besides doing this, I'm also a streamer. I'm currently uncontracted and pretty broke. I'm basically splitting 1 pack of instant noodles into 3 meals. I was wondering if you could post a video on your page to help me get some traffic? Lin Shuiyao had over 10 million followers on Douyin. A single video from her could easily pull in hundreds of thousands of views. I wasn't about to let a chance for free promotion slip away, though I wasn't sure exactly how much popularity it would actually bring me. That's it. That's not a problem at all, she messaged back. Then, she added something that made my heart skip a beat. Actually, why don't you just stop streaming? I'll take care of you. I'll give you 100,000 yuan a month in pocket money. My mind went completely blank. I had lived 2 lives, and this was the first time someone had offered to be my sugar mommy. The rush I felt was more intense than any confession I'd ever received from a girl. 100,000 a month meant 1.2 million a year. If I let her support me for 5 years, I could retire to my hometown and live off the interest until I died. How about it, she asked. Think about my proposal. I stared at the screen for a long time. I couldn't tell if she was joking or serious. Finally, I typed my reply. I'll pass. I'm not really built for soft rice, unless someone forces it down my throat. That's a pity, she replied with a teasing tone. You just missed your chance to live the easy life. It's fine, I joked back. Once I become a top-tier streamer, I'll give you a chance to eat soft rice instead. I'll probably be waiting forever then. Your version of soft rice probably has concrete mixed in it. She sent a laughing emoji. I chuckled, but I knew the reality. A single limited edition handbag of hers was worth more than my entire life. I had looked her up once. Her father ran an export trade business with thousands of massive cargo ships. Their annual profits were measured in the billions. A woman like her could drop crumbs from her table that would sustain me for a lifetime. While I was lost in thought, a notification popped up. Lin Shuiyao had transferred 20,000 yuan to me. Consider this 20,000 a tip for now, she messaged. I'll post the video in a bit. Thank you, boss. I sent back a kowtow emoji. I didn't let the money sit. I immediately contacted several high-traffic gaming editors. I paid them to clip my matches against big names like Bei Mu, Ling Er, and Han Han. I knew this would piss off their fan bases, but I didn't care. I had already offended them, and honestly, that drama was exactly what brought in my first wave of viewers. Once that was set, I thought about Zhou Ting sitting in my blacklist. A smug smile crept onto my face. Let's see who regrets this first. Meanwhile, at the Husho offices, Zhou Ting was staring at her screen. She crumpled a piece of paper and hurled it into the trash. Humph. A brat just out of high school dares to talk to me like that? He's got some nerve. As the manager of the King of Glory section, she was used to flattery. No one dared to defy her. Being talked down to by someone 10 years younger left a bitter taste in her mouth. Still, she wasn't going to ban my account. First, she didn't have a valid reason, and a baseless ban would hurt Hush's reputation. Second, if I wasn't signed, they didn't have to pay me a cent, yet they still got to keep a cut of my gift revenue. In her eyes, I was just working for them for free. Go ahead, she muttered. Try to fight a whole corporation on your own. We'll see who caves first. The tug-of-war had officially begun. After lunch, I took a quick nap and then went live. My recent win streak had already built me a loyal core audience. I put on my best disappointed voice for the camera. Brothers, thanks for being with me, I said, sounding heavy-hearted. But in a few days, I might not be streaming on Husha anymore. The chat exploded immediately. What happened, streamer? Husha is the biggest platform, why leave? Don't worry, wherever you go, we follow. I smiled inwardly. This was exactly the reaction I wanted. Husha called me today to talk about a contract. I told them. That's great. You'll finally have a steady salary, someone typed. Great. I scoffed. They offered me a base salary of 5,000. I could make more working in a factory. And then the manager told me I didn't know my place. Who could put up with that? The fans were furious. They were used to seeing capitalists squeeze workers, but the personal insult was the breaking point. I was telling the truth, mostly. I just left out the parts that didn't help my case. It was a tactic I'd learned from watching marketing accounts on Douyin. Be factual, but be selective. I'll stay on Husha for today, I told the crowd, until I negotiate with other platforms. I logged into Lin Shuiyao's account and started the climb again. It was a slaughter. One match after another ended in total domination. I hit a 40-game win streak, and my star rating soared to 2,100. Suddenly, I noticed the viewer count spiking. It wasn't a steady climb, it was an explosion. In minutes, it jumped from a few thousand to 20,000. Then 30, 40. Finally, it hit 50,000 concurrent viewers. The chat was moving so fast I couldn't even read it. I sat there, stunned. Where did all these people come from? My phone buzzed. It was a message from Lin Shuiyao. I posted the video like you asked. My fans all said they were coming over to back you up. Don't embarrass me. I swallowed hard, staring at the screen. The real game had just started. My throat went dry. The viewer count didn't just climb. It exploded from 5,000 to 50,000 in a heartbeat. Was this the power of Lin Shuiyao's influence? It was terrifying. But what happened next was even more shocking. The new viewers didn't even wait for me to speak before they started showering the stream with gifts. High-tier animations flooded the screen one after another. My old computer had never seen anything like this. It gave up on the spot. Wisps of gray smoke began drifting out of the tower. Stop. Everyone, please stop. I shouted at the mic. My PC is going to explode. The fans didn't listen. The gift effects kept flying across the screen like a digital storm. Finally, the tower let out a dying hiss, and the screen went black. The stream was over. I sat there in the sudden silence, staring at the plastic casing of my PC, which was actually starting to melt from the heat. I sighed. I knew Lin Shuiyao was popular, but I didn't expect her fans to be this insane. In less than 5 minutes, they had sent over 100,000 yuan in gifts. My faithful computer, which had been with me through years of battles, had officially been forced into early retirement. My phone buzzed immediately. It was Lin Shuiyao. What happened? My fans are saying your stream died. She messaged, clearly annoyed. I sighed and snapped a photo of the charred remains of my computer tower. I sent it to her with a dry reply. Your fans are too passionate. They hit at least 1,000 degrees Celsius. My computer went on strike. She sent back a long string of ellipses. I'm so sorry. I didn't know they'd go that crazy. How about I buy you a new one? I typed back quickly. No need. I'll buy it myself. Your fans just gave me over 100,000 yuan in gifts. I'm a rich man now. Fine, she replied. But if you run out of money, tell me. Don't be shy. I chuckled to myself. I had never been the shy type. Technically, I could have continued the stream on my phone, but with that kind of traffic, a phone would just lag and crash. It would be a terrible experience for the viewers and frustrating for me. I needed a new rig, and I needed top-tier specs to make sure this never happened again. I turned off the air conditioner and walked out the door. While I was heading to the electronics market, things were heating up at the Husha platform headquarters. Inside the general manager's office, Zhou Ting stood with her head down, staring at her toes. Standing in front of her was a curvaceous, middle-aged woman with a sharp, ear-length haircut. This was Tang Yun, the general manager and Zhou Ting's boss. What is going on? Tang Yun demanded. We have a streamer with this much traffic, and they aren't signed? If we had run ads on that stream, our commissions for the month would have jumped by tens of thousands. Zhou Ting bit her lip. Sister Yun, listen to me. I talked to this person, Yilan, at noon. But they were incredibly arrogant. They looked down on a B-level contract. Tang Yun's face flushed with anger. Tang Yun shouted, Zhou Ting, you're not a child. Why are you letting your ego get in the way? 50,000 concurrent viewers. Over 100,000 in gifts in minutes. If that were you, would you sign a B-level contract? And did you insult them? Is that why they shut down the stream at peak popularity? We might have just lost a fortune because of you. Zhou Ting froze. She hadn't realized the person she looked down on had this much potential. I didn't insult her, Sister Yun. I just told her to recognize her own level and stay in her lane. Tang Yun pulled a plane ticket out of her drawer and slammed it on the desk. I think she recognizes her level just fine. It's you who doesn't. The company has decided. You're going to Jiangxing on the 3 o'clock flight today. Meet Yilan in person. Sign her before any other platform gets their hands on her. Zhou Ting stared at the ticket in disbelief. Sister Yun, is all this really necessary for just one streamer? Necessary. Tang Yun leaned in. If I told you she went from 1,500 to 2,000 points in the peak rankings with a 100% win rate, would you still ask that? Okay, she's good, Zhou Ting admitted. But Husha has plenty of top-tier junglers. Han Han, Wei Liang, Bei Mu, they're all massive. Their skills aren't necessarily worse. Tang Yun gave her a cold look. Which one of them could hit 2,000 points with a perfect win rate? None. Even pro players can't replicate that. And for your information, Bei Mu and Han Han have already played against her. They were both completely outclassed. Yilan has massive potential. We keep her, or we face her as an enemy. Zhou Ting knew there was no arguing. She had to go to Jiangxing. At least she could visit her younger sister while she was there. She tucked the ticket into her pocket. Fine. I'll go pack my things and head out. Have a safe flight, Tang Yun said. Sister, don't say safe flight in the direction of the wind. It's bad luck, Zhou Ting joked, trying to lighten the mood. Tang Yun just waved her off. Meanwhile, I was at the computer city. I picked out the best parts available and arranged for the staff to deliver the new rig to my apartment. On my way back, my phone rang. It was Zhou Ting. So, they couldn't wait any longer? I let out a cold smirk and answered, but I stayed silent. I wanted her to speak first. Hello? Is this Yilan? Zhou Ting's voice was different now, professional, almost sweet. I'm Zhou Ting, the manager of the gaming section at Husha. I'm coming to see you this afternoon to discuss the contract in person. Could I get your home address? My eyes narrowed. My voice turned ice cold. Oh, so the verbal warnings weren't enough. Now you want to come warn me in person? Zhou Ting quickly tried to laugh it off. No. My manager already gave me a stern lecture. I'm coming to apologize properly and discuss the new terms. The change in her attitude was pathetic. I knew exactly what was happening. The apology is fine, but the properly part isn't necessary. Hold on, I have another call coming in. I have to go. Wait, I'm about to board my. I hung up before she could finish. On the other end, Zhou Ting was shaking with rage. Her phone gripped so hard her knuckles turned white. That jerk. At least give me the address first. She almost threw her phone across the airport lounge, but stopped herself when she remembered how much it cost. She forced herself to calm down. Why was I so quick to hang up? Was another platform already calling me? The situation was getting serious. She decided she needed to draft a king-tier contract on the plane, something so good that no competitor could match it. In reality, she was overthinking it. The call I had dropped her for was just the delivery guy from the computer store. The delivery guys were stuck at the front gate. The security guards wouldn't let them through without my permission, so I had to head down to the entrance to vouch for them. Once the equipment was inside and the paperwork was signed, I tried calling Zhou Ting back. The call wouldn't go through. Then I remembered she mentioned she was heading to the airport. Her phone was likely in airplane mode for the flight. I sent her a quick text with my home address and didn't give it another thought. Back in my apartment, I couldn't wait to tear into the packaging. My old computer was a total relic. It lagged if I even tried to open a web browser. It was long overdue for the trash. In a way, today was a blessing in disguise. Lin Shuyao's fans had showered me with over 100,000 yuan in gifts during the last match. After the platform took its 50% cut, I was left with more than 60,000. Combined with the 20,000 Lin Shuyao tipped me directly, buying a top-of-the-line rig was easy. I plugged everything in and hit the power button. The speed was incredible. I spent a few minutes transferring my old data and downloading my streaming software. Once the setup was complete, I went live again. But this time, I did something different. I turned on the camera. My old camera had been broken for a long time, so I had always been a faceless streamer. This sudden reveal caught the audience completely off guard. The chat exploded. "Wait, the streamer is actually this handsome?" one viewer asked. Another commented, "I watched his Shinsu play and assumed he was a 300-pound shut-in." Someone else joked, "He could survive on his looks alone, but he chooses to use his talent." I'm crying in the bathroom. I watched the messages fly by, all of them praising my appearance. I couldn't help but smirk. My mood lifted instantly. What did I tell you guys? I'm the Daniel Wu of Jiangxing. Do you believe me now? I wasn't exaggerating. I stood at 6'1" with a frame as straight as a pine tree. My short black hair was clean and sharp, styled with just a hint of casual messiness. My eyes were dark and deep, set into a face with a sharp, well-defined jawline. Even without a drop of makeup or professional lighting, I looked better than most. I leaned back and started the cue. I was feeling good, but I had no idea who I was about to face. This match was going to be a collision of giants. I was about to run straight into Fly, Xiao Pang, and the legendary Dehua.